Fox Sports welcomes you to a racing oasis in the desert, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. This is no mirage. The track ready to host a high-stakes gamble. 43 drivers are going to put all their chips on the table in a frantic attempt to collect the jackpot. Over $150,000 here. The burning questions today: will Roush Racing, led by Matt Kenseth, continue to dominate Vegas? Can Dale Earnhardt Jr. do the quick turnaround and jumpstart his season? And will Kevin Harvick recover from a failed car inspection? The answer is 400 hard-charging miles straight ahead on NASCAR Next Cup Racing on Fox. From the Hollywood Hotel and Casino, located near the finish line.
You're right.
It's where America gathers every weekend for racing, and we're happy to be in Vegas. It's our own little rat pack, along with Darrell Waltrip.
Well, that really hurts coming from you. Deal, baby, deal.
All right. Actually, our NASCAR's Penn and Teller. One of them is a magic and one doesn't talk. Guess which is which, right? All right, look, here's what we have here today. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll start with the good, Roush Racing. They've won five of the...
So that'd be you, him, and me, right?
You're the... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Roush Racing, 5 of 7 races here. So dominant. Will they win again?
Oh, I think they will. I think today they've got a great chance to get back to victory lane with one of their cars. And you still got to remember one thing. The key to this whole deal, I believe, has been Mark Martin. He won here the inaugural race. A lot of things were learned from that first time out. They've got a very successful deal.
Mark Martin will join us live later in the show. Okay, the bad, Dale Earnhart Jr., he's 14th in points. I mean, this guy, he's supposed to be a points champion.
Yeah, well, there's a serious problem here, and I think it's multifaceted. I think they're a little short on power. I think they're a little short on aero, and there's something wrong in the chassis setup of that car, and they haven't been able to fix all of them. And every time they come to the mile and a half, whether it's in the Busch Series or in the Cup Series, those cars are struggling, and they have got to find, so they got to bring some outside source in to help them fix it.
And Darrell, they're still working all the way up to this morning. Talked to Pete Rondo. They're still trying to find that handling package so they can get everything to work better. And I believe today they'll do a lot better. They need to finish on the lead lap if they want to have a successful outing.
All right, and the ugly real quick. I mean, Kevin Harvick, the crew caught cheating, to put it in simple terms. A heavy punishment Tuesday. What do you think it'll be?
Oh, yeah, they definitely, I mean, they violated the rule. They did, it wasn't like they had an accident or something happened that they wasn't aware of. I mean, they intentionally violated the rule. I think it shows you how important that old system that they were qualifying under with the light fuel load, their car wouldn't run without that package.
But don't blame Harvick for that. It's the crew chief. We need to look back.
How about
at
him
the crew
taking
chief.
responsibility?
Hey, the crew chief is responsible.
But here's
don't
what I
blame
hate.
Harvick.
All right.
They said on Tuesday they're going to hand down the fine. That's like getting home and your mom says, on Tuesday, your dad's going to wear your bottom out, boy.
You suffer all the way through. All right, more on this in our Gas and Go segment. This race, like this town, known for naughty and nice. To sort it out, we begin our Fox Watch with our headline act up in the broadcast booth, Larry McReynolds and Mike Joy. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless it's a fuel violation with Kevin Harvick's car. So let's start with the naughty. Mike?
Right, Chris. Then it gets taken to Daytona and penalties handled out. As Darrell pointed out, this was a flagrant violation. Harvick's crew blocked off the fuel filler and then filled the clear overflow tube and plugged it to give the appearance that the car held a full 22 gallons of gas. In reality, it only held 4. Larry, why would they do that, and what are the likely consequences?
Well, the first thing I want to make everyone understand that they did not run the car light on weight. They were able to take that roughly 125 pounds and place it in a different place in the car that would make the car handle better for 2 laps qualifying. But like DW pointed out, on Tuesday, NASCAR will hand down the fines and penalties. And I anticipate, based on the precedents that's been set, probably a monetary fine, driver and owner points, and we certainly know how important that can be, especially in this chase for the Cup. But most importantly, I anticipate possibly crew chief Todd Berrier will be suspended for several weeks.
So the penalties will be heavy, but what happens from here right now? Matt Yoakum is with Kevin Harvick.
Mike, Kevin will now start 42nd instead of turning in the 4th best time, which would have put him on the 2nd row. Now, you said on Friday you didn't know anything about the fuel system parts, but you know on Tuesday more than likely there's going to be a stiff penalty.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, you can't ever fault these guys for trying to do everything they can to gain a competitive advantage. But the Jim Goodwin Chevrolet has been good all weekend, and it's going to be good today, and should be fun to watch in the beginning. I'm just really glad that we made it really easy for Chris Myers and Mike Joy and everybody up in the booth to have something to talk about. But it's going to be fine, and we're going to have fun today.
Well, he said on Saturday after final practice that the car was super fast, and it'll have to be as he starts from the back. No one's ever won starting that deep in the field here at Las Vegas, so he hopes to break through today. And a guy who broke through the past 2 years and needs another win today is a defending series champion from 2 years ago, Matt Kenseth.
Oh, Matt
just drove off and left everyone.
Matt Kenseth scores his 9th career victory.
Roush cars hold 4 of the top 5 spots in the season standings heading into this race. I think more shocking than that is the fact that you are not one of those cars. But if you got to turn the tide, this is the track I guess you should come to, yes?
Yeah, it's been a good track for us the last couple of years, obviously, and everybody at Roush has been doing a great job of getting these cars run good, and Doug Yates and all the guys at Mooresville have given us great engines. So we've had a slow start, but yet we've ran really good the first 2 weeks. We just had something break in Daytona and had a flat tire last week, so hopefully we can continue to perform at that level and not have problems and get to the finish.
Yeah, just so you know, you rattle our world because you are Mr. Consistent, and you're also the star of the show, apparently. More Matt Kenseth coming up 10 laps with Chris Myers. Stay tuned.
All right. Boxers are briefs. Hey, by the way, the last driver to win 3 straight, also a Roush driver, Kurt Busch. He did that in Bristol. Kevin Harvick, by the way, Mike Joy, Chris Myers, Kevin Harvick, we all have the same number of wins this year in Cup racing, 0. Okay, just wanted to throw that out.
Apparently, he thinks you know a lot about gas.
Yes.
You know,
gas
and go. Yeah,
that's coming up a little bit later. Kenseth, why is he so? I know he's won well on this track, but he's had a slow start to the season. Obviously.
He's had a slow start. He's just had a little bit of bad luck, Chris. But otherwise, I think this car's been very consistent. It's been able to lead some laps early on. And after yesterday's final practice, you better watch this car for sure. He's going to be tough.
A lot more to come on this show. If you miss a little, you miss a lot sometimes. Here's what's just around the turn if you stay with us here on the pre-race program. Michael Waltrip will trade in his fire suit and his race car for some track pants and sneakers. He's a marathoner, and he ran in the Las Vegas Marathon. Also, the fearless pole sitter Ryan Newman, brains as well as speed, took his engineering degree to visit the Hoover Dam, one of America's greatest engineering wonders. And Vegas is lights, money, and racing for brothers Kyle and Kurt Busch. It's also home. We'll talk with the local boys who are giving their competition a run for the money and sitting on top of the world. And don't miss the new hit of the Hollywood Hotel, Gas and Go. We'll get you caught up on all the hot topics in Vegas.
Down at the end of Lonely Street, it's a Hollywood Hotel. It's NASCAR on Fox, baby.
In Las Vegas. In fact, you can bet on anything in Las Vegas. But Jimmy Johnson has moved to the favorite at 9-2. Earlier in the week, Matt Kenseth was the 4-1 favorite. If you want to follow your bliss, go with a long shot. How about Mike down there at 165-1?
Wow. 9-2. Let me see now. I'm more of a 1-10 guy.
Darryl, we're not talking about steering wheel location. We're talking about betting.
Oh,
it's just
so
Las
if
Vegas.
You bet 9, you get back 2, or?
Yeah, the odds makers laid odds that you're both on. All right. Welcome back to the program. Here's a quick quiz for you. What does Trading Places, A Few Good Men, and Old School have in common? They're all TV shows and movies, but they're also part of this week's news and notes to set up gas and go. A lot of power under the hat worn by this cat, Jack Roush. 4 of his cars in the top 5 in Nextel points. Don't think the competition hasn't noticed. Richard Childress recently hiring away Roush's longtime aerodynamic specialist, Nick Olila, who also worked at one time for Darrell Waltrip. But don't hold that against him.
Did he tell you that?
No, the Racing to Rock concert tour hosted Dale Earnhardt Jr. this week and others at the Palms Casino Hotel and Resort. An enjoyable mix of music and speed. The Racing to Rock tour rolls on around the country, and they make all drivers feel like rock stars. Rusty Wallace, Ryan Newman, Travis Quapple, and Matt Moreland among those at the Golden Nugget in Vegas for a game of Mobile One high-stakes charity poker. They raised a lot of money. When the chips are down, it's good to count on guys like this to come through. During the off week for some of the Cup drivers this past week, Dale Jarrett gave fellow Ford promoter and well-known golfer Phil Mickelson a spin behind the wheel of his 88 car. Mickelson enjoyed the ride for the most part, said he was really impressed not only with Jarrett's driving, but just as impressed as when DJ won the Fox pre-Super Bowl Golf Challenge last month. And Las Vegas native Kyle Busch made a goodwill visit to an area high school this week to talk to young people about car safety and responsibility. Kyle, of course, bigger brother Kurt. Kyle's just 19 and just a year removed from maybe sitting in a classroom and taking courses himself. We'll talk with both of them in just a moment. Time now for Gas and Go, favorites section here, because you're on the clock. You have to answer questions. I'm going to shape these questions in the form of a question, and you haven't
the first time.
And you haven't
will be a question.
Sort of
sounds like a question.
Right, and you have to answer with the time when you hear the buzzer or the bell. You have to stop. You ready?
All right.
Okay, here we go. All right, I'll go first with Jeff on this. When you ready? Okay. How severe should the punishment for Kevin Harvick be? Now, what you think that what would you do if you were
as far as the crew chief's concerned? I would make him sit out a few races, and I would definitely make sure that the championship point steal is significant enough not to ever happen. And I think that's what's going to happen to these guys. They're going to seat him out for a while.
What does a driver say to his crew chief when things like this happen?
Nice job. Why did you get caught?
Okay.
You big dummy. I told you not to get caught.
All right, Darrell, this one's for you. Carl Edwards, all right? Hudson, is he for real? Can he stay in the top 10?
I love Carl Edwards. I love his enthusiasm. I love his excitement. Got out of the car yesterday, got an old blown out tire, cost him winning the race. What'd he say? Man, I'm just glad I was a cat driving that car. I love Carl Edwards. He's the man.
How about you? He's a rally guy.
It can't be a simple yes or no. The guy is a real deal. He's got a lot of talent, great personality, and besides that right there, he's got a great backflip.
All right, let's move on. Matt Kenseth, Casey Kane, in trouble for the chase for the championship, or is it too early?
Well, it's only 2 races. It's a little bit early, but I tell you what, they got to get going today. Today is a make-or-break day, in my opinion. You got to make it happen. You're in Vegas, you got to roll the dice, baby. Got to get it done.
Which of the two will have a better year? Casey Kane or Matt Kenseth?
Matt Kenseth.
Okay. How about, this is for you, Jeff. Did Kyle Busch jump to the Nextel Cup Series too early for his own good?
I think so. I think that, unlike his brother, he's very talented, but I think he could use another year down in the Busch Series to get himself a little more acclimated and get everything kind of tuned up. He's going to struggle this year.
We have a disagreement.
You either got it or you don't. And there's no need in messing around, just go right to the top. That's look what Kurt did. Paid off.
Time up. Okay.
Go for it, baby.
DEI, not just Junior having some struggling problems. How would you turn it around?
How would I turn it around? I'd bring in some outside sources.
Really?
I mean, they got all the engineering they got all these people that work for Chevrolet and everybody. Bring them in. Let's get this thing fixed and quit messing with it. This is 2nd year in a row they've come out here all screwed up. Fix it.
What would you say to Junior?
Get serious about what's going on right now and help these guys. Tell them what you need. Tell them what you need if you want to get it fixed.
All right, Roush, I'll start with you. Roush, if a Roush car doesn't win today, who would it be? He's not sure.
Right now, Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman's car was very good in practice, thinking about the long run. They're very confident today, and they were one of the teams that were not making changes in the garage area.
I just think it might be Casey Kane. I really do. I think he has a good car. He finished 2nd here last year. I think it might be Casey Kane. What do y'all think?
All right, bigger picture now. Roush could win his 3rd straight points championship and looking pretty good, but if it's not them, who would it be?
Well, you got to figure Hendrick,
Around the clock? Okay, so either a Jimmy Johnson or a Jeff Gordon.
You got to figure Jimmy Johnson or Jeff Gordon. Those 5 guys, the Roush guys, and those 2 guys have been the most consistent so far. Got to put them right up there as favorites.
You agree?
Yeah, that's the only thing when you look at it right now. Consistency between these 2 organizations has been so good here lately. You would think that one of these championship drivers would come from those camps. As we talk about Matt Kenseth, he's definitely got odds-on favorite to have a good run today and get his year started off better.
I haven't given up on Ryan Newman, though. I still got a lot of faith in him.
Mark Martin will join us live here in a moment. They've added 2nd races to California and Texas recently. Should Las Vegas get a 2nd race?
I'm waiting for the day when they go in and revamp the whole schedule. Turn it all upside down, look at the big picture, figure out who needs 2 races. If you can sell a joint out, put 150,000 people in the stands, you deserve a 2nd race. If you can't, maybe they need to take a look at 1 race at some of these other racetracks.
We got a couple of new places I think we need to go. We need to start looking more to, I think, to the Northwest, like in Oregon, Washington, or somewhere like that. We got a lot of loyal fans up there. I think we need to go other places besides 2nd deal.
Which places would lose a race?
I can't tell you that, but I can tell you this.
Okay.
It should be based on, they should have a minimum purse.
Okay.
Should be probably $5 million at the minimum, and then other amenities. They need to take a look at the big picture and have a criteria for what it takes to have a race, keep a race, and get a race.
Fair enough. All right, at the blackjack table, you have 12. The dealer is showing a 3. Do you hit or stay?
Way I play?
Yeah.
I stay.
Okay.
You got, no, say that again?
All right, you're at the blackjack table. You have 12. Dealer is showing a 3. Do you hit or stay?
So that's 15?
I don't know.
So I'd take a hit.
That's 15. You go for it?
I'd take a hit.
All right, I would stay.
Why?
I don't know, because
Chris, he already said he doesn't know how to gamble. So what are you asking him for?
Right. You guys are the Gas and Go guys. With television ratings up and more women watching more NASCAR than ever, we're going to launch our Who is NASCAR's Sexiest Driver contest. Each week, 2 drivers will compete against each other in a face-off, and your vote determines the winner. We begin first round. Dale Earnhardt Jr. versus Carl Edwards. And at each race, we're going to name the previous week's winner and announce the new driver matchup. The overall winner will be crowned during our coverage of the race in Sonoma. Go to foxsports.com, powered by Asset. And the key word is...
Oh, it's sexy.
It's sexy. But, I mean, that's not fair. I mean,
I still think
a couple
that's a car
sexy
named
guys.
Bertha myself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like James Lipton. Define sexy for me. All right, coming up on our pre-race show, Ryan Newman will join us. We'll be back. Tony Stewart, all smiles. He's chatting with our own Steve Burns. He's probably doing that Sterling Marlin impression. And there's Walter, the goat farmer in the background. That was enough to have Tony move away. Casey Kane, who
raises all the Hammond's goats.
Casey Kane, a dark horse pick here for our own DW. There's Mark Martin, who will be joining us live in a moment. Jamie McMurray. He didn't have time to blow dry his hair today. Matt Kenseth, ready to rock and roll. There's our buddy, Happy Harvick, the Bakersfield Basher. And Jimmy Johnson, who has moved into the favorites role. Today's race, 267 laps, 400 miles here in Las Vegas. Quite a distance, but for Michael Waltrip, driver of the 15 car, nothing compared to the Las Vegas Marathon that he entered back in January. 26-mile marathon. That'll test a runner's physical endurance, but Michael had nothing to worry about. His heart was in the right place.
Whoa, Michael Waltrip in a cloud of smoke.
Shut her down.
Oh, I'm trying to mask the pain, but I can't. I mean, I'm just upset, but understanding.
We got Michael Waltrip right there.
This looks like 2 DNFs in a row to start off Michael's season.
I'd want to finish this thing.
Finish, that's it. Just kind of run with these guys and finish and raise some money for Michael and Operation Marathon. I don't see you anymore. I see
First marathon was Kiel Island, South Carolina, and raced the Boston Marathon in 2000. I ran it in 4:30, so that didn't work out too well.
Are we in Nevada yet?
I want to make it in 4 hours. You're 457 feet behind pace. Uh-oh. With the grace of God and a fast hot rod, we'll make it to that big track one day.
I'm running a marathon for the kids at Victory Junction Gang Camp, and it's a wonderful feeling. They said, "Where'd you get the idea?" I was watching Entertainment Tonight one night, and Puff Daddy came across the finish line in the New York Marathon. He said, "There it is, $2 million for the kids." And I said, "Well, I'd be able to get $1 million for the kids, couldn't I?" So we just getting started. Yeah, we are just getting started.
Nice. So Michael sweating it out to help those in need. A marathon, a test of endurance, and for him already at the start to this season, not the way he'd like it to go. Can he turn it around here?
Yeah, but listen, I haven't seen where the driver has let DEI down this year, and I really haven't seen that in the past. 2 blown motors, and Michael's driving great. His commitment, his desire, it's there. He has a lot of talent. I wish he could get a chance to show it.
We'll keep an eye on the 15 car. Michael at age 41, and 27-year-old Ryan Newman, the pole sitter today, the Rocket, 28th pole already in his young career. Newman graduated from Purdue with a degree in vehicle structural engineering. You need a degree just to say that almost. Since this week's race in Las Vegas here, Ryan took the time to check out one of the best darn engineering feats in America, period, the Hoover Dam.
Ryan Newman here, driving the number 12 Altel Dodge. We're getting ready to start a little tour of the Hoover Dam, Las Vegas, Nevada, just outside the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Get to see the inside, the outside, every side of the dam. I'm a Purdue engineer grad and really appreciate engineering. So Dan here is going to show us a little bit more about the dam.
All right, we're here. We got to get hard hats for everybody. Come on out this way. And it actually only seeps about 25% of what they thought it would. So this is a much safer dam than most of them.
How close are we to the actual water right now?
Well, we are right above it.
Everybody proceed with caution, please.
Right where we're standing, the temperature reaches as high as 140 degrees.
Here's a question for you. Where'd they get all the concrete?
They actually shipped the concrete in from Portland, the Portland Cement. They found within 8 miles, they found the biggest gravel pit that anybody ever even knew about.
How much concrete, where it came from, the water to the water temperatures, and you know, all those. Just to feel the concrete shaking underneath you is pretty wild, and knowing that it's not cracking. And this used to get toured all the time, but no longer does, right? All of this?
All of this, although this is the Arizona side. Basically, they tried to keep this off limits for everyone.
We're in the dam. We're looking out down towards the dam, and the dam is up above us. We're in the edge of the dam.
Oh, that's cool.
It's deceiving too how much angle there actually is in the dam on the backside. You look at it from pictures, you think it looks pretty flat. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like in 1930 with the vehicles then. How much they probably had to use horses just to do what they were doing. Dan, we're back here where we started. The tour was awesome. Got to understand everything that went into it, the concrete, the man hours, everything else, and appreciate that. Thanks for the tour. Thanks for showing everybody the way around, and hopefully we'll see you at the racetrack here this weekend.
Amazing place, and I'll see you there this weekend. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Dan.
Ryan is so quick, so bright. Now, after he races here, he may go build his own dam in between.
I thought he was pretty astute, though. He said, that's a lot of concrete.
Yeah, Ryan, along with teammate,
He's smart.
Yeah, his teammates Rusty Wallace, Travis Quappel are sporting a new color scheme for this race, promoting their sponsor, Mobil One, and the new line of high-endurance motor oils. In fact, the paint scheme can also be found on taxi cabs this week in and around Las Vegas. Fans invited to participate in the singular virtual crew chief during today's race. Stay tuned for details on how to play and watch for your chance to drive away in your own singular number 31 car. We're counting down to high-stakes racing from Las Vegas. We'll be back on Fox in a moment.
Mark Martin wins the inaugural Las Vegas 400. Jeff Burton takes the Las Vegas 400.
The cream will come to the top.
Jeff Burton in tonight.
Watch out for the Roush boys.
Matt Kenseth hits the jackpot in Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
Roush more dominant in Vegas than Wayne Newton. And, you know, yesterday in the Busch Series race here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Mark Martin patiently waited, and soon enough everyone was waiting for Mark in victory lane. It was his second career Busch Series win at this track. He also has won a Cup race here. Mark joining us from trackside as we welcome him to the program. And, Mark, thanks for taking a moment to join us. You ready to roll?
My pleasure, guys. Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Hey, as well as you're doing, I know you said this is your last run in Cup racing this year. Any chance that you'd maybe reconsider about retiring if this goes well for you the rest of the year?
Well, you know, I didn't ever say I was retiring. I'm just going to, you know, I'm going to be leaving the Cup Series, but I'm going to continue to race something. Don't have any concrete plans for 2006, but you know, no, I'm not going to come back and Cup race. I've got a bunch of other things I want to do yet.
You know, hey, Mark, it's the DW. You thrive on winning, Mark. When you win, I mean, well, you light up. And you're going out in style, dude. I'm really proud of the way you're handling your last year. What can we expect down the road here?
Well, I think that we're going to be strong this year. We've got such a great team and good cars. And today, you know, I expect to be competitive. We go to Atlanta. I really expect to be a contender to win for sure. Today, there's a lot of good cars. A lot of cars as good or better than us. We put in a good, solid top 10 or top 5. I'll be real happy. But when we get to Atlanta, I think that we'll be back in fine form, and I look forward to it. The Viagra team's really doing a good job with my cars right now, and, you know, I've got a lot going my way.
Mark, I know you got to get ready to go to the driver introductions. If you want to start going that way, my question was, after Friday, man, you were pretty down on yourself. You beat yourself up pretty bad about your Busch car as well as your Cup car. And yesterday in the Busch race, I mean, you showed that you made the right choices. How about today? Are you ready to go get them again?
I feel good about what we have in the car now because we did get happy hour yesterday, which we weren't going to get with the Busch car. The happy hour went real well. We tried every setup under the sun, and what we wound up with was very similar to what was in the Busch car, and then the Busch car was great right off the bat. So I think that we've got the best setup in the car for today. I just know that we have a lot of strong competition out there, and you know, we're just we feel good about where we're at right now. I was disappointed Friday in my performance and leading the team, but you know, it worked out on Saturday.
All right, Mark, we know you got to get up to the stage. Thanks again. We look forward to talking to you throughout the year. Good luck today.
Thank you, guys.
I appreciate Mark Martin. It's really nice, too, seeing the fan and the racing community reaction, kind of this dual farewell tour with Rusty.
Yeah, well, Mark's a perfectionist. And when you're a perfectionist, you live and die by winning, by success. And Mark can get really, really down, but he can also get really, really up. And when that cat's up, he's as good as there is.
He is a great warrior. I think that's the one thing Darrell's talking about here is he never quits. I mean, you may beat him up, he may beat himself up, but when it comes time and they ring the bell, he will be there.
You know, I asked him about racing a limited Cup schedule, and he had, this is what you were talking about. He said, no, I don't want to race just to race it. I want to race to win. So that's where my heart is.
Right. I mean, that's what's so important.
All right, we appreciate Mark joining us. You know, his teammate, 26-year-old Kurt Busch, won the points title, of course, last season, leads the points standings this season. Behind Kurt, a hungry field young drivers, including his 19-year-old brother, the Busch brothers, Las Vegas natives, and with family pride at an all-time high this week. I decided to interview them at one of the highest outdoor bars in the country, cool place called the Ghost Bar. And for the brothers, seeing is believing.
What I really want to know is,
We're on top of the Pops Casino Resort, 450 feet high above Las Vegas with the Busch brothers, Kyle and Kurt. What does it mean additional pressure-wise to be in your hometown and have to rate?
It's a little different just because you've seen everybody, it's familiar, and they all have that added, like, feeling about you in this town, and there's just a little bit of extra pressure. But what I've done in the past here is always been where I've been too aggressive on my shocks, thinking that I need to lead every lap. I need to sit on the pole, and then I end up finishing 9th once. Otherwise, I've wrecked or haven't finished all that hot. So as long as I can relate that to him, that it's a 400-mile race, this time around it's going to be much better.
Yeah, it's just that. I mean, you got to treat it as though it's any other race, really. It's just, you know, the Daytona 500 is the biggest race, but you treat that as though it's any other race, and may get a little bit of butterflies here or there, but still you kind of got to put that behind you, and once you get in that race car, you just got to go for the 400 miles and just got to work yourselves for a race strategy to be there at the end.
I know you're brothers, but you're not teammates. Is that an issue?
Not at all. I think it makes it better in the long run. He gets to learn from a different group of guys than I learned from. We're at Roush, he's at Hendrick. And then it's cool because we keep the numbers away from the conversations. And I can relate to him about certain circumstances that I've seen. And he's done the same thing with me and what he's seen over there. And it can make us better both in the long run, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being able to relate track information more so is what we do. You know, just kind of how the track changes and what we do to make our cars better to handle for different circumstances on the racetrack. You know, when you're looking under a guy, does your car lose the nose, or what do you do to try to fix that? You know, you just kind of work on the aspects of things more so than number.
So Kurt actually takes advice from his little brother?
Got to be open to anything, man.
A little bit. I ran on a few tracks that he's never run on before, and he kind of called me for advice, but more so I'm always calling him because he's always been there, and he's been there for a couple more years than I have, trying to get the lead in on it.
Growing up, did you guys fight a lot?
Always.
Yeah. How far? What are you, 7 years apart?
7 years apart, yep.
Now, he's bigger and older, but was he tougher?
No, he wasn't tougher. It was just that he was older. I was trying to become just with him. You know, I was trying to be 16 when he was 16 instead of, you know, just saying to myself, you know, you're 9, you're 10 years old, so you just, you know, chill out. Of course, that's just, you're not very smart when you're that young either.
What's the worst fight you guys ever had? What caused it, or how did it end up?
One of the coolest ones we had was when we were running go-karts. We always had just one go-kart, and we'd take turns with the stopwatch. Well, Dad got 2 one day, and and we decided we were going to go take it to the parking lot and go run around. And Dad's letting us race. We're passing each other. Everything's cool. And then he says, that means 5 to go. We're just motoring, you know, things. Now it's starting to get a little serious. I'm taking some room, and he's taking some room. And then he goes, 1 to go. Next thing you know, dude, the carburetors are flying off of both carts. He runs me over. I mean, there's a tire mark across my helmet, and he gets across the start-finish line first because my carburetor got knocked off. I couldn't even make it there. But he's more proud of it because he won.
Yep. So you would trash your own brother to win?
He chopped me. I was underneath him, and he chopped me, so I just, you know, I had to go for it. I was going to win that one.
Brother, 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 yeah, brother, brother. I know you've been laying back a long time. Oh, but keep laying a little longer, brother, yeah.
The Vegas guys at the Ghost Bar. Kyle, you know, 19. I mean, he was just drinking ice water up there. He gets carded at McDonald's. But he did say, it's not, you know, you wonder why brothers down the road, maybe they'd like to be on a racing team together. We don't have it with the Wallaces or the Labanis. Why doesn't that happen?
It's just a big rivalry between brothers. You know, one wanting to outdo the other one. But their parents have to be so proud. I mean, that's where you train them up and you send them out. And those two kids have obviously been trained well. Their parents have got to be proud. They've given them opportunity to succeed at something they love to do. Their dad was a good racer. If I was their mom and dad, I'd be standing there with my chest poked way out.
You know, earlier we kind of talked about, you know, what I thought about Kyle and how it was going to kind of play out. And the one thing I want to point out, I think he's going to make a great race car driver. I just feel like that pressure and that what he's trying to compete with his brother, he's trying to compete with the ranks of Jimmy Johnson and the Jeff Gordon working for Hendrick like he is right now. That's a lot of load to bear for a 19-year-old, and that's why I say I think he may have been a little bit better off if he'd have stayed one more year down in the Busch ranks, got his feet a little bit more planted. He will make it, but it's going to be a tough year for him.
You can't be the best if you don't hang out with the best and beat the best.
Right, and you know, Kurt, a guy who a year ago maturity was such an issue. He's a champ and a good defending champ, I think, showing a lot of maturity, and obviously his brother is hoping to learn from that. We saw Steve Burns, and he's busy. Yeah. He's everywhere. We'll be back. Coming up, some Las Vegas magic, the real Penn and Teller. This is NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox. We're counting you down from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Hang around. We'll be back in a moment. Nice to have you with us on this Sunday. NASCAR on Fox. Over 150,000 fans expected to make their way in at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Every ticket quickly taken. So they had temporary seats to this great facility about 16 miles north of the Las Vegas Strip on the mountains, snow-capped mountains in the background. A perfect backdrop for some great racing today. This is the first Nextel Cup battle since 2 weeks ago in California. That race held the same day, if you remember, as the Oscars. And for the Hendrick Engines and Racing team, the race must have felt like that movie Sideways. The film did not win an Oscar, nor did the Hendricks engine or driver win that race.
7 of the top 12 cars are powered by Hendrick-built engines.
Scott Briggs has engine trouble. Can be concerned for all the Hendrick cars. You hear that engine anema checks as he goes by, and it sounds flat.
25 of Brian Vickers. He is down on power.
The black flag is in the starter's hands for Jeff Gordon.
The 4th Hendrick engine to have problems here.
And Steve Burns is with the winner of the Daytona 500, the oldest of the full-time Hendrick drivers, Jeff Gordon. Steve?
Thanks a lot, Chris Myers. And Jeff, we had great success at the Daytona 500, then a setback at Fontana. You're back at Las Vegas, a track where you won in 2001. Do you feel confident? You think the problems are behind you?
Oh, definitely. Our engine department at Hendrick Motorsports is definitely the best in the business. And, they diagnosed it, I think, before we even left Fontana. So, we've had two weeks to really go through and analyze everything, feel really confident in everything. Engines are running great, and I'm looking forward to, getting that DuPont Chevrolet from 11th up to the front. This, has not been our best track the last couple of races here, but we always seem to be decent, and I think we're better than where we're starting.
And the momentum with the team, everybody's still fired up after Daytona?
Oh, yeah, that momentum's going to last for a long time.
Sure.
It's such a big win, such an incredible race, and we're going to be carrying that momentum for a long time, no matter what happens in the season. But we'd like to get some momentum back going on one of these mile-and-a-half racetracks as well.
Thanks for allowing us to share the
Jeff,
parade lap.
It's DW.
DW wants to ask you a question.
Yeah, what shows you been to while you're out here, buddy?
He says, what shows have you seen here in Vegas?
I went and saw Alicia Keys last night. I'm over at Hard Rock Hotel, so they take good care of us. Whatever's happening at the Hard Rock, I think Beecher's Madden House or something, which is pretty wild over there. But we're going to stick around and go see some Duran Duran tonight. So whatever's playing at the Hard Rock, that's what
one more thing. Did anybody recognize him?
Yeah, he wants to know if anybody recognized you there.
Well, it's kind of hard to walk through the Hard Rock because they have like my uniform on display there. So,
but you don't wear your uniform in there.
No.
Daryl might have done that.
Daryl, did he do that?
Yes. He
DW.
All right. Good luck today, bud.
Thank you, guys.
You didn't
Busted.
really. I could just see Tide everywhere.
I didn't wear it. I had it with me, but you never know when you're going to need your uniform.
You remember how Elvis used to do his cape? That's the way he does his driver's
He would wander around.
I could duck into the bathroom and come out.
Well, I mean, but Jeff Gordon is as big a star. I mean, you talk about
I was just busting
No, I know you were.
it,
In terms of getting recognized anywhere and some of the things he does beyond the sport. But how about bouncing back? I mean, after winning Daytona.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
The last 3 races here, he hadn't finished 16th or better. He won here in 2001. The last 3 races has been disastrous for that team here. So he's got his work cut out for him today.
Yeah, but those guys, I mean, talk to Jeff Andrews as far as the engine deal is concerned. They're very confident they've got this problem taken care of. And more importantly, I think every time Jeff Gordon has a bad race, they normally rally back and have a strong race right after.
But in those 3 races, Jeff, they didn't have engine problems. They just didn't run well.
I know, but I think this year Robbie Loomis and his guys have been working very hard. I think they've got a good handling package under that car, and he'll be fine.
All right, thanks for settling that.
Me.
Okay, I'll watch.
All right, this 1.5 mile track has very little banking in the corners, but we can always bank on DW showing us the track's hot spots.
You know, crew chiefs are notorious gamblers. You take last week at Mexico. Last week, NASCAR had the caution lights and the flagman that opens and closes the pits outside of turn 4. Now, what some of the crew chiefs were doing, they were watching TV. They anticipated the caution. They called their drivers on the pit road before the caution came out. Some guys made it in, but some of the guys a little further back, they wasn't so fortunate. By the time they got to the pit road entrance, the caution flag was out. They got penalized. They were very unhappy. What NASCAR did this week, they built this gadget over here, this roulette wheel looking thing that spins around with all kind of lights on it. Now, if you come on pit road and that light's not on, you just hit the jackpot. If you're coming into the pits and the driver looks over to the left and he sees that light on, he just shot craps. He's gonna lose his track position. He's gonna get penalized. I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. I hope everybody rolls a 7 today and has a lot of fun, makes a lot of money.
Gambling tips from DW. Now, it's also, Daryl, it's a lot cooler than when they were last on the track, the drivers, and it's windier today here in Vegas.
Yeah, that wind's going to hurt. It's a little bit of a headwind, a little short back straightaway, but it will buff the car around a little bit, and you'll hear some drivers complain about, my car's not running right, because it will buff the front of the car up and down.
All right, for the past 2 years, Matt Kenseth has won this Las Vegas race. Kenseth might be off to a slow start overall this year, but nothing compared to being forced to sit down and answer some tricky questions in our segment, 10 laps win.
If you could edge anybody out at the finish line to win a race, who would you want it to be?
Anybody. You want to win every race, but probably Dale Jr. just because we've had a lot of good races throughout the Busch Series and stuff, and you know, being good friends and race against each other like that's always fun.
And what nicknames have you been called over your life?
My dad used to call me Motor when I was a kid because anything that had an engine on it or a motor on it I liked. So whether it was mowing lawn or riding mini bikes or no matter what it was doing, I liked to do it as long as I had a motor on it.
What's at any level, your most embarrassing moment in racing?
Ooh, it was pretty embarrassing when I crashed into the pit wall at Dover last year, but probably the most embarrassing thing, even though there was only about 100 people in the stands, is I was running second in a sportsman race at this track in Wisconsin Rapids, and I spun out coming to the checkered flag, and there was no wall, and I got stuck about 10 feet from the finish line up on the edge of the track, and the car couldn't move without getting towed off, so I had to sit there and wait for the wrecker to come and get me about 10 feet from the line.
All right, and word association, guys have had fun with this. It's like, you know, I throw out a word, first thought that comes to mind. Green flag.
Start.
Metallica.
Loud.
Lambeau Field.
Tradition.
Jack Roush.
I think of his hat.
Chase for the championship.
Something you want to be part of.
Pressure.
Probably leading with 10 laps to go.
Sushi.
Sushi.
No, there yuck. You go. Okay, yuck. Fair enough. Okay. All right.
By the way, he's a big Packer fan, from Wisconsin. He told me he's ecstatic this week that Brett Favre announced that he's definitely coming back. And also, Matt had a birthday Thursday, turned 33 years old. Part of Roush Racing, the dominance here. Is it more when they dominate a track like Las Vegas for Roush? Is it more about the driver or more about the car?
Well, that's a good question, Chris. I'm really not sure, but I think a driver knowing a racetrack is a big plus.
Okay.
I think when the driver knows how to get into the turns, when to get back in the throttle. I think about Jamie McMurray, who dominated Rockingham, and he did it in 3 different race cars. And you see the drivers in these Roush cars. Whoever gets into the cars seems to run well here.
Well, and if it is more the car or the Roush engine program, Jeff, why don't more people copy that?
Because they've got very good secret people around there. That's the reason why you see Richard Childress going over trying to steal people from Jack Roush. I think they've got very balanced race cars. They have great engineering people that work inside this team, and they got very talented drivers, as Darrell alluded to. You've got to have a driver that can not only feel what's going on with that race car, but when you do give him information as far as engineering is concerned, he has to be able to apply it. Right. And they have that type of talent inside of Roush Racing right now as we look at one of those drivers, Greg Biffle.
And what a benefit we saw Carl Edwards for a young guy like that to learn from a Mark Martin, to have him part of, and Kurt Busch, just to be surrounded by people like that. All right, Las Vegas, known for illusion and magic. This town always loves a good show. The driver's about to put on a good show right here on Fox on the Track. Last night, the Magicians, Penn and Teller, showed why they are almost as popular as that Hollywood hotel duo, Myers and Hammond. We're backstage with the evil geniuses, Penn and Teller, the bad boys of magic, and Penn and Teller. Now,
Yep.
what do you doesn't talk, right?
Yeah, this one is the one that doesn't talk. The
That's
one who's not talking right now.
That's a great trick.
Hey, can you teach that to me? Because I got a guy named Waltrip I'd like to use that on.
I'll work on giving you a quick lesson on that.
Thanks a lot.
Want to see a card trick?
Yeah.
But first, I want to, before we do a card trick, I got this distributor. Okay, now I don't know a thing. You know cars at all?
He does.
Okay,
I kind of just talk.
I don't know anything, but we're going to try a little challenge here. We're going to do a card trick for you.
Okay.
And see if, while we're doing that, you can figure out what's wrong with this distributor. I just took it out of my car. I don't know what's really wrong.
Well,
meanwhile, we'll have you pick a card here. Why don't you hold on?
You want me to hold this?
Yeah,
okay.
just
all right, I'll tell you what's wrong with this.
Yeah, don't open it. Don't open it.
Okay,
Just take a look. You can shake it. You can taste it, whatever you want. But in the meantime, why don't you just tell us going to riffle down the deck, and you just tell him when to stop here, right here. Just tell him when to stop.
Stop.
Let him go. Okay, you keep stopping at the bottom card. Just stop. Okay, there you go. Now just take that card, and then Tell's going to give you a pen, and write on the face of that card, without us seeing it, what you like most about NASCAR. It's a couple words that sum up what you like most about it.
Okay.
And then when you've done that, just Tell's going to keep working on these. Just keep looking. You might want to give it a taste, a smell, give it a shake. Give it a shake. You've written on there?
I'm ready.
Now you're going to take that and lose that card in the deck. Just take the whole deck and just shuffle it in. Just shuffle it in all you want. Make sure it's completely and utterly lost there. So you've signed the card and you've shuffled to the deck. You picked a card. Boy, shuffling is not your strong suit, is it?
I'm not a dealer here in Las Vegas. You guys make me nervous.
Boy, not a good shuffler at all. Now, I want to show you how instantly Teller can find this card. You're still monkey with the distributor, but instantly Teller finds your card just like that. And he's going to commit to this and put it on his... Oh, yes, you definitely got it. He's going to put it right onto his forehead. And do you have any guess on what's wrong with that at all?
Yeah, it's not. I think it's just old. It's a little worn down.
So old is
old.
Yeah. Old is all you need. Old is a diagnosis.
Well, yes, wear and tear. I think would be my.
That's all that is.
It reminds me of you. You're worn out.
It's just
worn out.
Stay old. Oh, Teller, you sure that's the right card? Positive. Okay, then just strings.
Wait, but I have
away. And now here's the card right here. You remember your card, and there it is right there. Is that your card right there?
So
4 clubs.
That's not.
Is that the card? Did you write?
No. You guys, you're supposed to be the best.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me
What's
have
that?
the distributor.
I didn't figure everything out
The
yet.
distributor, but you didn't finish it all. Well, let me see if you could open it. Maybe
right, then we would figure out.
This guy carries his own screwdriver.
Now you've been holding this the whole time
I had
here.
a tight grip on it because I usually don't.
There we go, right there. And if you see, there's a card in there, and hold your hand out. Would you please just hold your hand out just like that?
That's amazing.
And if you remember your card, would you open it up right there? Wow! And show it to the camera.
You wrote what you like most about NASCAR.
Speed.
That's the card.
Speed right there.
Speed.
And that was wrong with the distributor. It just was
so
full
of card in there.
It was full of nuts and had
so the lug nuts was part of the.
I think
that. Now, how did you get to? Can you? You'll.
Of course we could tell you. How much money you got on you?
I bet you'd have to kill us. Pretty impressive.
You know who would like to have those guys working for him today? Kevin Harvick.
There you go. There's the
card right there.
And Mike Pisacreta, the neighbor of Penn Teller, gave him the distributor.
Yeah,
you know, that's a rare thing that I'm holding on to that
I'm
side.
still working on that deal as far as making you be quiet.
The problem with the distributor was it was eaten up with ozone.
There you go. Real quick, Best Picture, Sideways did not win, but they did win an award for screenplay at the Oscars. Speaking of awards, our pre-race show here on NASCAR on Fox, Bill Richards, our producer, nominated for an Emmy.
Are we up against Bradshaw and those guys?
Yeah, they win every year.
Bradshaw, you're dog meat. I guarantee you.
Hey, don't forget also, Jenny Zelasco is also nominated for Major League Baseball.
And don't forget Freddie. Don't forget Freddie.
And Fred and Audio, a number of our technical people.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations to
We
all.
got us a team, don't we, boys?
We're counting down.
NASCAR on Fox returns for its third Nextel Cup race of the season. And it comes out here just north of Glitter Gulch to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where it seems almost every year they have to add more seats to accommodate the huge throng that packs this grandstand and infield, and there'll be another 20,000 seats when we get here next year. The show is on the track and in the sky. The Thunderbirds, operating out of Nellis Air Force Base right across Las Vegas Boulevard from this speedway, put on a great show. They're faster than what's on track, but the action here is so close and so intense at what we've been calling the House of Roush. Time to go trackside for today's opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats and remain standing as the Nellis Honor Guard presents our colors. Today's invocation will be given by Las Vegas Motor Speedway chaplain Kenny Farmer, and that will be followed by our national anthem from American Idol star and now RCA recording artist, Miss Deanna DeGarmo, and her new album, Blue Skies.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gorgeous day. We pray for the safety of all the drivers and those pit crews. We pray for all those servicemen and women that are around this country and around the world that are keeping us safe and free to be able to enjoy this wonderful sport that we all love. We just ask all these things in your precious name. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets recollect the bombs bursting in and gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Now that's a flyover. I think in the drivers' meeting this morning there were more stars on epaulets of Air Force generals than there were stars in the seats hearing David Hoot's instructions for today's race. Coming into Las Vegas, only 2 races in the race to the chase, 2 of 26, who will determine who will compete for the Nextel Cup. And Kurt Busch comes in here with a 5-point margin over Jimmy Johnson. Mark Martin, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle giving the Roush Armada 4 of the first 5 positions. We call this the House of Roush because they have been so dominant here in Cup competition, winning 5 of 7 races held at Las Vegas, and their Busch record 4 of 9. Let's go trackside, Matt Yoakum.
And Kurt Busch would love to keep the Roush Armada's record going strong. He's never won here at Las Vegas, but he knows his teammate Mark Martin won the Busch Series race yesterday. The tally now, 9 NASCAR wins and 16 starts. He's starting out the year with a lot of momentum, a second-place finish and a third. He would love to win a race here at his home track in Las Vegas. Let's go to Jeannie Zelasco.
Boy, we take you from one extreme to the other. That is where you will find DEI, and nobody understands it. DEI can't even explain it. Maybe the guys in the plane overhead can understand it. 2 years ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. had a second-place finish at this track, and Michael Waltrip was third. They followed that up in 2004 with mid-30-place finishes. There was a meeting of the Brain Trust on Friday night for both the Busch and the Cup cars, trying to figure out what is going on. None of that actually helped Martin Truex during Saturday's Busch race. So now it will be up to Junior and Michael to work some kind of magic today, starting 34th and 36th, respectively. Guys?
Thanks, Jeannie. We've got a lot of onboard cameras with NASCAR and Fox, including this one. View of the Thunderbirds. Welcome to Las Vegas, where everything's a little bigger, a little brighter, and like those jets, a little faster. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds. And Larry, the teams had a chance to practice yesterday in the traditional format, qualifying Friday, final practice on Saturday. So it's not you've got what you've got, but you've got to keep up with this racetrack, it seems, as the heat wears on it and oil and rubber gets on this racetrack. Instead of racing each other, do you spend more time racing the racetrack?
Well, and I think we saw in the Busch race yesterday, remember the Cup cars, they've not been on the racetrack. This racetrack changed, and I think because of that, as I walked through the garage area this morning, there was a lot of changes being made on these race cars. There was a lot of adjustments being built. We've been coming here for 7 years, and the whole complexity of the race has changed because Goodyear made that tire change. Used to be, when you got out front with 50 or 60 laps to go, you stayed out there on those tires because they were going to be good. Now they went to a softer tire. The cars are going to slide around a lot more. That means these guys are going to have to make adjustments to keep up with that, as well as more tire changes and more pit stops. What does that mean? The need for no mistakes on pit road. We watched Jimmy Johnson last year. He had a car that could win this race. He got involved in a wreck on pit road and could not even make it back to the top 15. So pit road, as always, a huge key.
We'll talk about the driver's side of resource management when Darrell Waltrip joins us in just a little bit. Now let's go to Speedway Illustrated's Dick Bergman.
Well, thanks, Mike. A couple weeks ago at the last Nextel Cup race, the majority of Hendrick engines failed. They had problems. Well, the Hendrick guys say those problems are fixed. No problems today. But here's the big picture story. The majority of teams are treating the front end of the season as a 26 race season. 26 races will determine the 10 drivers, 10 cars that'll make the chase for the championship. As Larry McReynolds just said, no room for failures today. No room for driver error, pit crew mistakes, or parts failures. To Steve Burns.
Thank you, Dick. Now, Kevin Harvick knows that he may well lose championship points on Tuesday because of a post-qualifying infraction. He also knows there may be some other heavy sanctions laid down by NASCAR on Tuesday. He may lose his crew chief, Todd Berrier, for a couple races. But he also knows that he has a very fast race car. In fact, yesterday, he said his car was super fast. He'll start from the rear of the field after qualifying fourth because of that post-qualifying infraction. But he has nothing to lose but to go to the front today, Mike Joy.
Drivers in their cars. There's the cat in the hat. Jack Roush, the man who breaks the bank in Vegas. Of 22 major NASCAR races that have been held here, his cars and trucks have won 11 of them, including 5 of the 7 Nextel Cup races held here to date. I'm sure you recognize the pre-race voice of Las Vegas Motor Speedway as Robin Leach, who joins us for today's installment of Lifestyles of the Fast and Famous. Let's go back to trackside for today's command.
Here's to the greatest day in racing. And now for the 4 most famous words in racing, please welcome our Grand Marshal, Ken Terry.
Good afternoon. Are you ready to race? I know you are. What a beautiful day for it. I just want to say, on behalf of UAW-DaimlerChrysler, drivers, start your engines.
43 drivers will have Lady Luck riding on their shoulder today. Which of these drivers hopes to be in the right place, just not at the wrong time? The Department of Defense has created a way for you to show your support for America's troops. Jot down the URL of this website, where you can read messages from service personnel, learn how to send your own messages and care packages, and find ways to volunteer or make donations that go to support our troops. It's americasupportsyou.mil. From fast planes to fast cars, Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of the Budweiser Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier at each NASCAR Nextel Cup Series race. Today's Bud Pole Award goes to the Rocket Ryan Newman. Budweiser congratulates Ryan, the latest Budweiser shootout eligible driver, joining Kyle Busch and Dale Jarrett in the Budweiser shootout of '06. Let's have a look at the starting lineup for today's UAW-DaimlerChrysler 400. By 8 1/1000ths of a second, Newman pipped Elliott Sadler for the pole. And as you have a look through the starting grid, let's go down to our Ford Cutaway car.
Thanks a lot, Mike. We always like to illustrate for the viewers something that may come into play, Jeff. And of course, on the Las Vegas Strip, comedian David Brenner performing, a guy known for his comedy and his nose. How will the noses, and particularly for some of the manufacturers, come into play in today's race?
Chris, one thing you want to do today, you want to make sure you get the right amount of tape on the grill so you can get all the downforce on the front of this car as much as possible to grip those front tires. But one thing you got to worry about here today, with all this wind blowing around, is debris getting on this grill. Tear-offs from other guys getting on this grill. All of a sudden, the tape you're running becomes a negative instead of a positive. The car could run hot. You've got to be watching out for that. And with this wind today, it's really going to be a big concern for a lot of these teams.
Speaking of running hot, a lot of talk about Dodge's maybe having some cooling problems in particular.
Well, the new nose they've got right today has got a recessed upper grill area, and the rubber's getting trapped up in this area, clogging it up. And even if it's not a piece of debris, the rubber itself is building up on the screen and making a lot of these cars run hot. You'll notice today they've got a lot more open on the bottom than they've ever had before. So be watching to see if these guys have problems.
It's always difficult in Las Vegas to keep your nose clean. Let's go back up to Mike.
I don't even have a follow-on line for that, Chris, but there's a look at Ryan Newman's Dodge with the tape and the little orange liftoffs there, and some tape being removed from Tony Stewart's grill during pre-race. Darrell Waltrip joins us to call today's race. And Darrell, Larry and I spoke earlier about resource management and how to keep that car in position to win by racing the racetrack. Talk about the driver's role in that, would you?
Listen, when that gate flies open, I'm like a thoroughbred. I'm coming out of there and I'm going to go running as hard as I can go. And what I'm going to hope is that my car handles good enough that my tires will be good until I get back in the pits again and get me 4 more fresh ones and take it to them one more time. That saving stuff, I'm not a big fan of that. You work on the car, I'll drive it, and we'll be there at the end.
Okay, thoroughbred. We only get a few opportunities to adjust this race car. You got to work with me like Jeff Hammond was talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. in pre-race. You have to be concise with the information you give me because we don't get that many opportunities to adjust on this car.
What do you tell me? Work with me?
You don't have to work against me.
That's right.
All right, we're going to have Chris send out for more oats as we join Dick Berggren.
Good bet to win today's race. These fellas work for Jimmy Johnson. You might consider betting on him because this is one of the best pit crews in the business. And Johnson is on a roll. Won the shootout at Daytona, 5th in the 500, 2nd at California. Fast here in every practice session. Car number 48. Watch it today. He's a good bet. Steve?
Well, Dick, Tony Stewart has 3 straight top 5 finishes here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but this team admittedly struggled at Fontana 2 weeks ago, a racetrack with similar characteristics. As an organization, not just as a team, as an organization, they went back to the shop and made wholesale changes. We're about to find out if they work here today. Jeannie?
Well, a lot of talk in the garage about donations made at nearby casinos, but nobody has given like Scott Riggs over $100,000 at the track. That's because he's on his way to using his 3rd engine. They found a seal leak, so they decided to make the change since he was going to be at the back of the track. Oh, by the way, he is not feeling well. Had to go for some IV this morning. Matt?
As pole sitter Ryan Newman brings the field down the backstretch, his teammate Rusty Wallace starts back in 21st. Now, although the car was a little free during the final practice session, he felt the car was very comfortable. Rusty rolling in with a lot of momentum. 4 top 10 finishes in the last 5 races. He feels like he's got a good shot to win today. Mike?
Scott Riggs to the back for a transmission change. Then they also changed the engine. Kenny Schrader had to give up a top 10 start because they changed engines on his car. Pole sitter Ryan Newman set to lead this field to green in front of a capacity crowd.
DW, it's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. Reach up there and pull those belts tight. One more time, baby. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Dick Berber talking to pre-race. These guys, 26-race schedule. They want to lead this first lap. Somebody wants to lead it. Get those 5 bonus points for leading early. Greg Biffle, he wants to do it quick here. It's going to be a drag race to lead lap 1.
Got it.
Greg Biffle.
Biffle by a foot. And, you know, he made no prediction that he would be leading this race by lap 1 or 5, but he's out front right now and pulling away, I might say.
The odds-on favorite coming in here rides in 6th place. Matt Kenseth. As you watch Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon side by side, when Kenseth qualifies in the top 10, that car is fast.
But there's so many similarities between this track and what we saw at Fontana a couple of weeks ago. It comes as no big surprise to me that that 16 car is already out front and looking good.
But you know, as we watch Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, he's not made a lot of noise here this weekend. Just an okay qualifying effort back in 11th, and was not that high on the speed charts in practice yesterday.
Well, Larry, I mentioned to him in the pre-race show, he has finished 16th or worse here the last 3 races. I think they got a little issue they got to work out today, too, along with the 8 and the 15.
Casey Mears, Casey Kane, side by side for 12th.
And that's what I love about this racetrack. We saw this yesterday in the Busch race. There really is no preferred groove. You know, you would think it'd be right around the bottom, but you see Casey Kane in the 9, 1 groove up off the bottom, prevailing through turn 1 and 2.
One thing about it, if you can get that outside to work, if your car will work there, you can pass a lot of cars because everybody fights for the bottom.
Well, the fellow who's had to pass the most is Kevin Harvick. He started 42nd after his qualifying time was disallowed. Pulls up on Dale Jr. He has climbed from 42nd to 27th. 15 positions in 4 laps.
You know what I'd have done to Harvick and them? I'd have said, okay, guys, you got to start the race with the amount of fuel you got in your car now after qualifying.
3rd place to the defending Nextel Cup champion, a fellow who just 7 short years ago, now driving that 97. Kurt Busch was fixing water mains at night for the city of Las Vegas so he could race on weekends, and he has risen to become champion of this sport.
He's on the move, but his brother Kyle Busch in the 5 car, he's on the move as well. Qualified back in 10th, and he's up there battling for the 5th position right now. Going back to Kurt Busch in the 97 car, I talked to his crew chief this morning, Jimmy Finning, and they were struggling a little bit yesterday because Kurt was wanting to be that thoroughbred. He wanted to be fast right off the bat, but they knew the setup they had would be good for the long runs, just like Mark Martin's Busch car yesterday.
That's when the old crew chief has to say, trust me. And then the driver's got to say, okay, I'm going to trust you. But
Harvick completes the pass on Dale Jr. Moves him up to 26th. Kurt Busch pulling down on pole sitter Ryan Newman, who runs 2nd to Greg Biffle. The outside pole sitter, Elliott Sadler, has dropped back to the 5th spot as Busch completes the pass for 2nd. Steve, anything wrong with Sadler?
Yeah, what he's saying, Mike, is he's way too tight in the middle of the corner, and he's way too tight when he gets on the throttle. He ran the Busch race yesterday, and he told me right before today's race that he learned a lot yesterday. Mostly, he learned what not to do when they make adjustments to this race car today. Dick?
Newman has just radioed his pit and told him he's a bit tight in turns 1 and 2, a bit loose in turns 3 and 4. So he's dropped back from his pole position where he started the race.
And that's typical Las Vegas. The more rubber gets down on the racetrack, the cars will turn less and less.
I tell you, the car I like, the car just moved into 3rd place. Travis Quaffle, he looks mighty racy today, and that car is right around the bottom, and he's coming forward.
Got a good qualifying run, 6th.
Clean and green through the first 8 of 267 laps in Las Vegas. Greg Biffle picking up where he left off 2 weeks ago, out in front.
Their best.
Oh, wow. It got Junior.
Got a bunch of them.
A big crash in turn number 1. One car got loose entering the corner and collected Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a big way. And there are 4 cars involved. There is Bobby Labonte, who is one of 4, and there is Brian Vickers, also down on the apron. I believe we'll find one other car with damage as a result of this crash going into turn 1. And Vickers throwing his arms up. There it is, Ricky Rudd.
Looked like there was smoke off of a car. I don't know if there was any contact. There was quite a bit of smoke as we looked off into turn 1.
Entering turn 1, lap 13.
Oh, yeah, there was smoke, all right.
That was a hard lick.
It really was, and boy, Junior just tried to move up a little too quickly and caught the back of Vickers' car. Not sure what he was thinking.
All the drivers have climbed out on ROK.
There was just nowhere for Ricky Rudd to go in a 21 car.
Let's ride with Dale Jr.
And he just gives Vicker a boot right in the left rear. I'm not sure.
I apologize for the brief loss of video there.
Clear. Looking no clear.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s climbed from his car. So is Brian Vickers. They are okay. We apologize for a sudden power outage that interrupted our video feed. And now hopefully we're back with you for the duration of the 400 miles here. Sorry for the brief pit stop. But under this first caution, we'll complete 14 laps this time by. And pit road is a very busy place.
And we talked about this. These guys want 4 tires already after just 13 laps, Jeannie.
Yes, that's because Travis Kvapil has been talking about the tires dropping off a little tight before center as well, so air pressure adjustments are in store, and the 4 tires and fuel. Matt?
Defending series champion Kurt Busch already in. The crew going to work on the left side. They're going to shuffle the air pressure. He was loose on exit, all 4. Steve?
Greg Biffle just a little bit loose, Matt. He gets 4 tires. They also made a wedge adjustment. Dick?
Ryan Newman has the best pit stall. He got that pit stall because he won the pole. He's the one that is closest to the line. And he's just taken 4 tires, but Kurt Busch is going to beat him out.
Bobby Labonte's taken his car to the garage. Ricky Rudd also made it back around. And Earnhardt Jr. and Vickers are on the rollback. Contact between Brian Vickers and Dale Jr. is what started this crash at lap 13.
I will see what happens here, but I think if you watch, Vickers is coming down. He's headed into turn 1. I mean, you can say, well, Vickers turned down. He has to turn down. The corner's there. He doesn't have any option. He can't keep going straight. I think Junior was trying to blend in behind him to get the good entry into turn 1, just misjudged and clipped the left rear.
And I might add, Darrell, the spotters for these guys are right up here above us, and at that angle, they're going away from the spotters. It's hard for that spotter to tell him a whole lot of information there.
Yeah, it always amuses me that when people say, yeah, but Vickers turned down. Yeah, there's a corner there. He had to turn down.
Let's go to our onboard cameras. Dale Jr. And now we've seen where Lady Luck rides with Rusty Wallace.
Clear. Looking no clear. In front of you. Good job. Good job. Keep coming.
Brian Vickers climbs out, unhappy.
Asking Dale Jr., what were you thinking 14 laps into this race?
Darrell, the closing rate in the last few feet seemed to indicate that Junior's entry speed into the corner was much higher than Vickers.
Well, there's almost like a crossover point there where he was down low, Junior, and he's going to move up the racetrack to get a better entry into turn 1, and he just clipped the back of the 25 car.
The 25, the 8, and the 18 may be done for the day. Ricky Rudd's going to try to make repairs.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By new Tylenol Extra Strength Rapid Release Gels. Team Tylenol. Think fast. By Subway. Experience the great taste of a fresh toasted sub today. Subway. Eat fresh. And by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers. Time now for a Visa race break. Kyle Petty leading on lap 17 to lap 12. Caution comes out in turn 1. When you say hit me in Vegas, Brian Vickers telling Dale Earnhardt Jr. doesn't mean this. Steve Burns is with both of them. Steve?
And they have both just come from the Infield Care Center. Guys, both to see you okay. Brian, what happened on the racetrack?
I guess that'd be a better question for Junior. You know, we had a good car. The GMAC Diatec.com Chevy team was doing a good job. You know, we had had trouble in qualifying, but we had a great race car and was just trying to work way to the front. It's just it's just shame. It's early in the race for stuff like that. But accidents happen. Hey, we've all made mistakes. Dale apologized, and we'll put our stuff back together and go next week.
All right, thank you, Brian. And Dale, again, he said that you apologized. What happened from your point of view?
I got in the corner too hard. I was kind of letting him go on the outside, and just kind of being patient if I could. And he got off in the corner a lot easier than I expected him to. I just got in the back of him and turned him around, and just took us both out. Really, pretty much simple as that. Just made a mistake, and hated for Brian, hated for Hendrick Motorsports and all those guys. Brian looked like he had a good car. We was a little bit loose, but I felt like I was, going to be all right for as far as the race goes. But just a shame. I mean, don't try not to pride myself and make too many mistakes, but made a big one today.
Thanks for your honesty and your time. Thank you, Dale. Let's go back to Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, Steve. And pretty impressive, Jeff Hammond from the Hollywood Hotel just minutes after something like that happens. You have both drivers standing there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. apologizing, and obviously devastating for Brian Vickers. It looked like the two had gotten together a little bit even before the actual accident.
Well, I mean, you start of a race, everybody a lot of times will get together and beat and bang on each other just a little bit, but it looked like on that one shot they definitely got together, coming down the front straightaway, then again getting off in the corner. As Dale said, and you could hear from the end car, he ran up on him really, really quick, so you could believe what he was saying, that Brian had kind of backed the corner up a little bit, rolled out of it, and Dale got in a little bit hard and got the back of him.
This was a worse finish for Dale Earnhardt Jr. last year, was at this race and this event. Does that play in the back of your mind a little bit when you come out here?
It's going to hurt you a little bit, but he knew he had to try to get a good finish in today, but he'll have to pick up the pieces next week.
This has been a Visa race break, and they're getting ready to go green. Mike?
Yeah, real quick, what I saw happen was Vickers got off the gas a little early. I think he knew Junior was there. Junior was going hard, and he did get into him, and I admire Junior for saying, hey, I made a mistake.
Well, this is not necessarily a track where things repeat. Greg Biffle led the first 14 laps of this race. 2 years ago, he didn't even qualify for this race. Morgan Shepherd, trying to pick up 5 points for leading a lap, does so, as did Kyle Petty and Mike Wallace under the caution. But quickly, Kurt Busch, the Nextel Cup champion and hometown hero, assumes command of this race.
Of course, he's trying to get those 5 points for leading, but that's big for people like Morgan Shepherd and Mike Wallace, because we talk about making the chase. These guys are trying to stay in the top 35 in points to where they can make the races after race number 5 automatically.
Travis Quaffle on the outside of Jeff Gordon. 7th place.
Tell you what, right behind them, Tony Stewart in that 20 car, he's been on the move. He started back in 23rd position. He's up to 8th. He's actually boxed in right now behind those two cars. He's going to go on the outside of Jeff Gordon in the 24 for another position. And I'd keep a watch on that car behind him, the 01 of Joe Nemechek. So strong at Fontana. And as you mentioned, Darrell, this racetrack has a lot of similar characteristics.
Yeah, I don't believe you have to worry about Travis Quaffle in that 77 holding Tony up right now. That 77 car, I'm very impressed early on in this race.
And here comes Nemechek into the picture in the Army 01. Nemechek, the best Chevy 2 weeks running, it appears, from practice and qualifying here thus far. But now he trails Stewart, with Gordon looking on the inside, and Jeremy Mayfield in the 19 Dodge. For the lead, Greg Biffle is right there. As we said, 2 years ago, it was the only race of the year that he failed to qualify for. And boy, he's come back strong.
And I mean, just remember, he has won 2 of the last 3 Nextel Cup races. The last race of the season last year at Homestead, Miami, and of course 2 weeks ago at Fontana. And again, another racetrack that's that 1.5 mile fairly flat racetrack.
Once again, we want to apologize. We are operating on reduced power. We took a power hit and lost our transmission and some of our production capabilities earlier as Greg Biffle takes the lead from Kurt Busch. And you will note that some of our computer graphics capabilities have been disabled with that power hit. Nonetheless, we'll take what
here is the guys that are really good here and the guys that are fast are the men that can get their cars into the 3rd turn. That is such a delicate turn, getting down in there just right. And if you get your car set up where you can drive in there really hard, you can pass a lot of cars in that one turn going into turn 3.
And Darrell, doesn't that really all start? But
yeah, being able to drive in hard is the key.
Of Kurt Busch by 0.6 of a second. Ryan Newman about 0.8 back. And now whatever cards have been dealt to our power system seems to be affecting our audio as well. So once again, folks, our apologies as Ryan Newman ducks underneath Kurt Busch, who now that he's led a few laps,
behind him. Clear behind him.
falls into the clutches of the pole sitter.
Kurt Busch got a really good run off turn 4 in that second group. We've been seeing that a lot. He was able to maintain the second position. But what I noticed about Kurt Busch in the 97 a while ago, when his teammate Greg Biffle caught him, let's go back to Chris Myers talking to him in the pre-race, is I'm learned to be patient. He saw Greg Biffle caught him, and there's no sense in racing him this early in the race.
Now, Larry, that's assuming that he could race him. Because right now, the way that 16 car is, I don't believe he can race him.
Looks just as strong as he did at Fontana at the end of the race.
Exactly what he did at Fontana.
Here's Newman back underneath of Kurt Busch for second place. This time he completes the pass going into turn 1. Jimmy Johnson's Lowe's Chevrolet against the Dodge dealer's Dodge of Ray Evernham. Dick Berggren about our pole sitter.
Well, the pole sitter likes his car a whole lot, Mike. Just a couple of laps ago, he radioed to his crew chief, Matt Borland, that the car is really drivable. I guess it is. It was a little bit loose before that. They tightened it up with a little bit of wedge. Matty?
Kurt Busch, the 97 car on your screen, following the 12 of Newman. Now, before the pit stop, his car was loose on exit from turn 4. Crew chief Jimmy Finning made an air pressure adjustment, slight one, to try to fix that. Now, Kurt reports in that the car is tighter on this set of tires. Right now, he's just being patient, knowing there's a lot of laps left in this race.
You know, as we're watching Jimmy Johnson right here, he qualified back in the 9th position, but when the race started, he fell way back almost to 20th position. He was still losing more spots when that caution came out. He made up a lot of ground on the pit stop, but I think the biggest thing, they made good adjustments on that car. That caution was welcomed by Chad Knaus and that group.
Little Elvis magic. Even Ryan Newman had a pair of those on during pre-race. He runs second to Greg Biffle by 1.1 seconds ahead of Kurt and Kyle Busch. Welcome back to Las Vegas, where Greg Biffle leads at 33 laps. 2 drivers who started in the back, one under penalty, one because of an engine and transmission change, marching toward the front. Scott Riggs up to 18th. Kevin Harvick currently 19th. We've had 1 caution flag and a round of yellow flag pit stops when Dale Jr. Got into Brian Vickers, taking out Bobby Labonte as well. How about Scott Riggs? Talk about drivers picking up right where they've left off. He has had a great start to the season in that Valvoline number 10.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great run at Daytona, finished in the top 5, had a good run going at Fontana, California, one of the engine failures there. But as you pointed out, Mike, just like Kevin Harvick, he had a great qualifying run on Friday, qualified 4th, had to go to the rear of the field because of the 1 transmission rule. But he's been fighting his way back up to the front right there with the man that started in the back with him, Kevin Harvick, in the 29.
Another of the big move-up stories is Tony Stewart, the 2002 Cup champion, who has, I think he was 12th at the caution, came out of the pits in 8th, And now, Steve, Tony's climbed to 6th.
Yeah, he just went by Joe Nemechek seconds ago. And I tell you, talking to their race team, Mike, they know they struggled at Fontana 2 weeks ago. A lot of the notes they have used in the past to correct a problem once the race starts no longer work. So they're trying to find, you hear this a lot, they're trying to find the balance on this race car. And as I said in the top of the show, they went through wholesale changes in their organization because all 3 Gibbs cars struggled at Fontana, but it's running a lot better today, Dick Berggren.
Car number 24, Jeff Gordon, is right where he started in 11th position. However, his car is loose, but not as bad loose as Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. He is really loose. I'm also listening to Ryan Newman in 2nd place, and he has just come on the radio saying he is loose too. We got an epidemic out there.
Well, I think we have a track temperature that's really heating up, and these cars are really starting to slide around, and the back end just will not stay under the cars. Darrell, you were talking about him a while ago. Travis Quaffle in the 77 car took him 3 wide off turn 2, and he basically goes by Kurt Busch. That's for 4th position.
I like Travis. He's quiet. I mean, he's a humble guy. He's just a yeoman. He goes about his work. He's a blue-collar driver. I like him.
Quaffle has 4 Craftsman Truck Series starts here. Finished in the top 5 in 3 of those 4 starts. For more on Quaffle, here's Jeannie.
Yeah, I don't know what is more dangerous, just the raw talent or the fact that he now has some confidence in the cars. We talked about Travis Quaffle. He said, I now know what it should feel like. It's a big adjustment. Remember, he knew what it was like to drive a truck. He knew what that should feel like, knew exactly how far he could push it. He says it's taking time to get used to the Cup car, but after Atlanta, they were just there this week testing. He gained a lot of confidence coming here, a lot of confidence in himself, what he can do behind the wheel, and confidence in the team. They're starting to run better. And he also said his ace in the hole is actually his crew chief, Shane Wilson, who lived out here for a while and was a crew chief in the Truck Series. He's really helping him today, guys, learning the lines of the track and exactly where he should be.
Thanks, Jeannie. I can't believe how hard this bunch is racing. And only lap 39. 99 is Carl Edwards, who dominated the Busch race yesterday. Kevin Harvick, the 29, finished 2nd to Mark Martin in yesterday's Busch race. And Scott Riggs, last lap around, came down on the apron as they were 3 wide all the way into turn 1.
There's enough energy in those 3 guys right there that they the power shortages we're having, they could well make up for it.
But Darrell, what I'm noticing about Kevin Harvick in the 29 car, we're riding with him here. He's running a groove off the bottom of the racetrack. You heard Dick Berggren talk about his car being loose. He can't turn the steering wheel. He has to run up the racetrack a little bit.
He's backing it up the track.
Let's go back to Dick.
Well, this is Vegas. I guess it's okay to be a little bit loose in Vegas, but listening to Harvick on the radio, his car is so loose that he can barely hang on to it. He has told the crew that whatever they did on that last pit stop was wrong. Fix it next time.
You can see right there, see how he goes up the racetrack. You would think the car's not turning, but it's because he can't turn the steering wheel because it'll try to spin out with him.
Yeah, I saw a sign out here that said something about loose slots, so I guess maybe he's got loose slots today.
Casey Kane, we thought he would be a factor, and maybe it's just a little early on. He's running right behind his Evernham Dodge teammate, Jeremy Mayfield. He's right in a pack of 4 Dodges that are 13th through 16th. Matt, everything okay there?
He started 7th, Mike, but he quickly faded to the back. He says the car just is not in the racetrack. It was too free on entry. Not a good balance. Tommy Baldwin tried to fix that Dodge with a wedge adjustment. Casey says the car is now a little tighter under throttle, but he's still holding station in 15th.
Kane is about 13 seconds off the lead. As here is Kyle Busch and Travis Quaffle. This is for 3rd place.
Travis's car just looks so good, Larry. It's smooth up off the corner. He's backing the throttle early. And we know about Penske power. We know he's got plenty of power under the hood. And I do believe, I think it was Doc or Jeannie that talked about Travis's confidence. I think that's what's going to make the difference in him as the year goes on. The more seat time he gets, the better he's going to be.
And they had a great run going at Daytona about a month ago. Got caught up in that wreck near the end of the race on the restart. Struggled a little bit at Fontana, California, but boy, they have it hooked up here.
He's looking down under the 5 here, and he's going to make the pass.
On your quarter. Still there. Clear.
Of course, Busch. That's his spotter talking to him because, again, and it's a little tough on the spotters. I pointed out a while ago as Kyle gets a run back on the bottom. They'll drag race down the back straightaway here. It's tough for that spotter to do that clearing going off into turn 1.
Plus, going into turn 1 here, the sun can be a bit of a problem. As the sun starts to move over into the west, you're looking right into it going down into turn 1, and that can really cause you some problems entering turn 1.
And it's neat to see these two guys racing with each other. Travis Quaffle in the 77, Kyle Busch in the 5, because I think this is the main thrust of our rookie battle this year. I think these guys will be battling each other all year long.
I agree. Add Eric McClure to that rookie crop, who qualified for his first race of the season here this weekend. Now, this will put 3 Hendrick-powered cars in a row, 4, 5, and 6. Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's 48, and Joe Nemechek in the Army 01.
Jimmy Johnson, did I hear you say Jimmy Johnson?
Yes, I did.
Because I think Mr. Johnson is getting ready to make a house call.
Well, he's got a long way to go to this fellow's house because Greg Biffle up by 6/10 on Ryan Newman. There's Newman's number 12 coming to the picture behind the National Guard Ford, and Quaffle is 3 seconds back in third.
But Johnson on our timing and scoring, Jimmy is the fastest car on the racetrack right now and catching Greg Biffle, even though it might be ever so slightly.
And Biffle in the 16, he's about to catch the tail end of the field, so he'll start putting some cars a lap down. A little harder to run those fast lap times lapping cars.
That brings us to our first singular virtual crew chief question. To vote, text the word crew to 191 on your singular wireless phone or go to foxsports.com, and you'll also be entered for a chance to drive away in your own singular number 31 car. "47 laps complete, and Newman taking a 1/10 of a second out of Biffle's lead each lap, as now Jimmy Johnson has caught his teammate Kyle Busch in the Kellogg's car. That's the movie Robots on the hood of Kyle's car this week. Just released animated feature.
Pretty impressed with the changes. You can see how Jimmy Johnson in the 48 could beat Kyle Busch back to the throttle and just lunges off the corner, because as I talked about a while ago before that last caution, he had fallen back to 19th spot. Now he's back up there in 4th.
One caution early on. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Brian Vickers, Bobby Labonte, and Ricky Rudd. That was back at lap 13.
NASCAR Next Star Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR, and proud sponsors of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 car. Nice to have you with us on a warm, windy afternoon in Las Vegas. A little cooler than it has been here. Greg Biffle, your leader, and Jeff Hammond, as we get a look at the onboards from some of the notable drivers here, from Rusty Wallace to Ryan Newman, Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, this right now, Chris, is a view of these drivers are seeing as they go down around this racetrack. Some of it's a little prettier than others, and a lot of guys right now are probably hoping they can get a caution and get an opportunity to work on these race cars. I know there's a lot of unhappy drivers on that racetrack right now.
Biffle leading Ryan Newman and Travis Quaffle. Biffle having taken the lead on lap 23 for the second time in this race, overtaking Kurt Busch. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., someone who had hoped to turn things around, out of the race for the moment after an earlier accident that happened on lap 12.
As we're watching, you can see Greg Biffle as he works his way through traffic, being pursued pretty heavily by Ryan Newman. And what's so interesting, Chris, is that we're getting almost halfway through a pit stop right now. So for a lot of these cars, this is when they're going to be telling their crew chiefs, this is what we got to do on the next stop. This is what's wrong with my race car. As we get ready to come down pit road, they'll be ready to make the necessary changes.
And Biffle in the Busch race yesterday, the green flag runs were common there once again.
Very much common runs. And right now, I think that Darrell and Larry and Mike have been talking about it. Greg Biffle's starting to look a lot like his teammate Carl Edwards did yesterday in the Busch race.
Mike?
Well, the nice thing about the Jack Roush plan is you've got 5 different opportunities to hit the right setup, and he has Busch leading, or rather Biffle leading Kurt Busch in 8th, Matt Kenseth in 9th. His other car is a little further back, but we listened in on Kurt Busch, and Matt, he's in 6th place, but it doesn't sound like a happy 6th place.
He's faded back to 8th, Mike. In fact, they combined 2 setups during the final practice session, thought they hit upon something. Confidence was high for his first top 5 finish here at Las Vegas, but right now he's telling crew chief Jimmy Finnig he is battling a very ill-handling race car.
That's 21 laps on the tires, 2-1.
Dude, we have been tight in all the days of testing and all the weeks this year. We have been this tight.
And he is holding on right now. Crew Chief Jimmy Finnick is planning on pitting him somewhere around lap 72 to 76. Now, he did say earlier on this run that he felt like this set of tires was the tightest that he's had all weekend. So, Larry Mack, as a crew chief, you take that into account because you don't want to over-adjust, correct?
No, you don't want to get that car loose. We've already seen how Kevin Harvick was with the car loose, but the reason he has not been that tight...
Turn 3, Larry, excuse me, somebody's gone up in smoke.
Robbie Gordon, another engine failure for that 7 car, and the caution is out.
Man, that saved a bunch of good cars from going a lap down right there.
A lot of fire and smoke from Robbie Gordon. One car it did not save was our outside pole sitter, Elliott Sadler, who had, after posting a great qualifying lap, had already gone a lap down. Robbie coasts the Harrah's number 7 into the garage.
And engine failures has just been the Achilles heel for Robbie Gordon already in 3 races. He had an engine problem at Fontana. He had all kinds of engine woes at Daytona.
Mexico, he had problems.
So a lot of problems there in the engine department for his Busch and Nextel Cup car.
Field is frozen at the moment of caution. Let's have a look at where our Dodge Chargers are running right now. Ryan Newman, who started on the pole, is posted 2nd. Travis Quaffle right behind him. Jamie McMurray in 15th, with Dodge's also 17th, 18th, 19th, and 22nd. Second caution of the day.
DW, you were right. Michael Waltrip, Sterling Marlin, Jason Leffler. I mean, they were just about to fall into the clutches of our leader, Greg.
Yes, sir. They could look in the mirror and see the leader 16 right on their bumper.
So pit stops will be the order of the day. Jeannie?
Well, drama in the 17 pit of Matt Kenseth came on the radio just a little bit ago and said the car is starting to feel like it is running out of gas. He actually at one point said the meter actually dropped to 0 as if there was no fuel. He felt like the car stopped running, went back again. They've been in the pits taking some samples of the fuel to see if maybe there's something in the fuel that they just didn't know was there. And concerned now that there could be some problem with the fuel lines. We'll keep you posted. Matt?
Jackman Scott Radel already has the right side car up. They're making a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment to try to fix the defending champion's tight race car. Steve?
Matt, 4 tires for Greg Biffle. He took a ½ a pound out of the right rear. Little bit of a slow stop for them. He speeds away. Dick.
In that last run, Ryan Newman started out loose, got tight, got a little bit loose. They've added some static weight to the left rear, a little slow on the left front. And will he beat, the 77, beat him out. Quaffle.
Travis Quaffle, Ryan Newman. First 2 off pit road.
We have a new graphic now. The pluses means positions gained, and the minus means position lost. That's the pit road time. And if you look right there, there it is. Travis Quaffle gained 2 positions off pit road. And you see right here, Tony Stewart lost 3. And a 0 means you came in, you went out where you came in. Now we're going to highlight some times, and these 2 green times, Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards, that means they had the fastest of the 2 times. Greg Biffle, who came in leading the race, as well as Tony Stewart, we saw the positions lost. They had the slowest of these top 10 times.
More likely those slow times with those teams, they made adjustments on the car that slowed the pit stop down a little bit. Maybe a rubber in the spring, maybe a rubber out of a spring. You never are sure what happened there, but probably made some adjustments.
And that number in seconds represents the total amount of time spent along pit road, including the stop. Capacity crowd here in Las Vegas. We've completed 60 laps.
Kurt Busch, driver of the number 97 Sharpie Ford, along with his crew chief Jimmy Fennig and car owner Jack Roush, enjoying a stellar year, winning the championship. Busch comes to Vegas as the local favorite today. Talked about the pressure of racing in front of the hometown crowd.
It's a little different just because you've seen everybody, it's familiar, and they all have that added feeling about you in this town, and there's just a little bit of extra pressure.
Kurt Busch, the current points leader, and Roush Racing Fords built for the road ahead. Vegas, Roush cars have won 5 of the last 7 Cup races here, and here's where his guys currently stand. You see Greg Biffle 3rd, Carl Edwards 10th, Mark Martin 18th. Who has the best shot to win? We'll keep an eye and keep you posted on that. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Big day for Travis Quaffle. First lap he's ever led at NASCAR. He's going to come to the green, reach for that knob. 720p high def, Dolby Digital 5.1. Crank it up.
Trouble. Turn 4.
Elliott Sadler goes around.
He got Stewart.
There's damage getting into the back of Sadler as everybody scatters. Third caution of the day. It comes at lap 65.
Looked like Carl Edwards in the 99 has some damage as well on the left front. There you see the back of Elliott Sadler's car, our outside pole sitter, already a lap down at lap 64. There you see the damage on the left front of Carl Edwards.
Just causing it all, look like.
And Tony Stewart got punted in the back, but it looks like just bumper cover damage and little else.
Well, let's see what happened here. Oh, the 17 car.
Matt Kenseth
poked him. 38's been off the pace just a little bit. That doesn't mean you run over him, though.
And he was up at the front of the pack, so you see all the cars coming toward him. There's where Carl Edwards got his damage on the left front.
Yeah, actually, Tony did a good job of keeping from getting into the 38 car.
Watch Jeff Gordon, the 24 car here. And Jeff Burton in the 31, he gets into the left rear of Jeff Gordon because Jeff Gordon was trying to slow down to keep from getting in the back of Elliott Sadler.
Burton was trying to keep him running over Tony, who was sitting on the apron.
And Gordon did avoid Sadler, did not get in the back of it, but got hit. You're riding with Kevin Harvick.
Go, 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 go.
And this is Jeff Burton's car.
And in front of you, easy back, easy, easy, easy. Hold up. Come on now, come on.
So pit road's open under this third caution. Steve?
Mike Elliott Sadler in his pit stall, the team looking at the damage. He had been complaining about this race car from the start of the race. He had gone from second, and as Larry McReynolds pointed out, went a lap down. The car was, in Elliott's words, almost undrivable. It was so loose they had already pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear spring. So this car just a handful for Elliott Sadler. The day has gotten worse. Dick?
Jeff Gordon in the pits, most of the damage to the left rear corner. Mike Atwell, who is the rear tire changer, is back there right now working on that section of the car, trying to pull some of the sheet metal out. They have changed tires on Gordon's car, as well as put 2 rounds in the right rear. He said the car does not drive well off the corner. Of course, that was before the crash. We'll see what it's like now.
Work continues on Jeff Burton's car. So in all, at least 6 cars received some damage when Matt Kenseth got into the back of the waiting Elliott Sadler, number 38. Welcome back to Las Vegas. At 68 laps, Ryan Newman, the leader over his teammate Travis Quaffle, both in Dodges.
And this is something we'll be following a lot today. You can see the air temperature from the start of the race is about the same, but basically turns 1 and 2's cooling down a little bit, getting some shade. 3 and 4's getting warmer, but these conditions are very similar to what they had in practice yesterday. Not a big change except for that 300-mile Busch Series race.
Getting set for the restart with Jimmy Johnson third, Greg Biffle, Joe Nemechek. The top 5, Robbie Reiser having a look at the fender on Matt Kenseth's car, seeing if there's a little rub there, a little tire rub.
Yeah, because none of these leaders wanted to come to pit road just after 1 or 2 laps on their tires.
There's a lot of tire rub there on Kenseth. Jeannie?
Yeah, they're hoping, guys, that the tire rub is not so severe as to actually cause tire damage, and maybe it will indeed push the fender back up. But it's like, what drama do you begin with? Because there's still discussion about what's going on with the fuel line now, maybe particularly the fuel cell. So there is some talk when he does come in that this time they absolutely have to look at the fuel line, especially if they're going to work on the fender a little bit, because they can't go the distance if they're going to have this continual problem with the fuel, guys.
This tire is even rubbing the fender on the straightaway.
Yeah, no, he's going to have to. That may get better, but it's going to. That's going to have to be attended to.
He's running up in the 8th position. They just did not want to give up that track position with 32 cars on the lead lap, but they don't want to blow that left front tire either or have to pit on the green. They need a caution right now.
Well, as we've seen, we know the damage that a tire that goes down can do to a fender. By the same token, it can fix that fender if it doesn't get into it too hard.
And we're riding with Kevin Harvick. Remember, had to go to the rear of the field because of this qualifying time disallowed. He had worked his way up into the top 15. We heard Dick Bergman talk about how loose he was. He welcomed these last 2 cautions because they've made adjustments, and he just cracked the top 10 into 10th place.
Three cautions so far out of the race. Robbie Gordon, Morgan Shepherd, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a crash with Brian Vickers, Bobby Labonte, and Ricky Rudd. Let's go to the pits and Matt.
Before that crash, Mike, Carl Edwards climbed from 26 all the way up to 14th. Made a stop on pit road, a lot of tape to fix the cosmetic damage to the 99 car. He said the car was a little tight before that, but he's almost like a cheerleader to his team. He's almost keeping them pumped up, telling them they still have a shot to win this race. Lost one yesterday when a cut tire took him out of the lead, but he led 125 laps. A lot of experience he gained in yesterday's Busch race trying to carry over to today's Cup race.
Teammates Newman and Quaffle.
I think Travis is very happy to be right there. He's following Ryan and getting some laps here, and he's running up front. I think he'd be very happy to stay right where he is.
Not so happy, Elliott Sadler. He is headed back to pit road under green. Not great. Or excuse me, that is John Andretti. It's not Elliott Sadler. As they come across here for abreast.
And we don't have out of bounds here like we do at Daytona. Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 32 car all the way below on the apron on the front stretch.
You can do that, but it's a little treacherous when you come back up onto the racetrack. There's a little transition there that every now and then will upset your race car.
Now the front straightaway, D-shaped as it is, has a pretty good amount of bank in it, and that apron down below that yellow line, that's pretty flat.
John Andretti in the 14 car just made an unscheduled stop as well.
See where Mark, I see Mark back in there. Mark hadn't come to the front like I thought he may. I mean, based on the way his Busch car ran yesterday, I thought he might slide right to the lead, but hadn't done it so far. But he's an old sneaky veteran. Might just be riding around right now.
He just kind of strolled around yesterday and stole the show in the closing laps when his teammate Carl Edwards cut a tire.
Yeah, these cautions are really not falling in his favor right now. Mark likes for it to go green for a while.
See, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car behind him has those little fresher tires working on the back of Mark Martin, and right now this is a battle for 22nd.
And just 2 cars ahead of them, Tony Stewart working underneath Scott Wimmer there. And Stewart trying to climb his way back up.
There, guys. Isn't that Kenseth?
Yes, down against the apron.
Yeah, he's off the pace off too.
Shoot it up.
Left front tire is flat, and he's telling him, let's don't take the time to change 4. It's not been that long since the pit stop. Let's just do 2 tires, but he will go a lap down because of the pit road speed and the pit stop.
He won this race in 2002, and he won it last year. And now, Darrell, he's digging himself a hole.
Well, like I said in the pre-race show, he needed to have a good day today, and this isn't it right here.
Flat tire deal here, right here.
Jeannie?
Well, as anticipated, here comes the 17 car. That tire is completely shredded. Massive miscommunication here, guys. As you were just saying, they were only talking about 2 tires, but some of the guys were getting ready to change all 4. So as it turns out, they're going to go with the 4 once they get that figured out. And of course, all the work on the fender to get it out of the way so they don't lose another tire. Interesting, though, it doesn't appear as if they're going to take the time to work on the fuel line, or at least check it out.
Thanks, Jeannie. Another unscheduled stop, Jamie McMurray on pit road.
Yeah, he just dropped down all of a sudden. I'm not sure what his issues are.
And I know they have been struggling with this race car this weekend, but he had worked his way up just a little bit after qualifying 22nd. But this definitely is an unscheduled pit stop.
How about Mike Bliss in the Net Zero Best Buy Chevy, challenging Kevin Harvick for a top 10 spot?
Yeah, he's been doing a nice job in that car, Mike. It had a good solid run over at La Fontana 2 weeks ago, quietly working his way along.
All right, we want to talk about the preparation that a team does prior to a pit stop, especially when you have a problem. Now, I want you to look right here. Matt Kenseth comes in. You see that this is where there was a little bit of a miscue at first about 4 or 2 tires, and they go ahead and going to change the right side tires. But I want you to watch here. They slide the hammer out there knowing that they're going to have to beat that fender off of the tire just a little bit. The hammer was there in place for the left front tire changer to do his job, trying to do this job as quick as possible considering we're still under green.
Now, I think Robbie was, I mean, we heard Matt say just 2 left side tires, but I think if I was the crew chief, and you probably would agree, I'd go ahead and get me 4 right now.
Well, he's going to go a lap down whether he changes 2 or 4. Go ahead and get those 4 tires, and what his hopes are now, he can get back to being the first car a lap down and maybe get that free pass under caution.
Next week, we move to even a faster 1.5 miles to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Golden Corral 500 on Fox. But here, 81 laps complete, 186 to go. Ryan Newman, your leader. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
4th.
By TGIF Fridays, irresistible new sizzling platters. Everyone could use more Fridays. By Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. And by FedEx, proud sponsor of the number 11 car. Ryan Newman leading on lap 85, and moments ago, our 4th caution. Let's rejoin Mike for the latest on that. Mike?
That's Jason Leffler you're riding with in the FedEx car of Joe Gibbs, who spun it around in turn number 4, as did the 49 of Ken Schrader. Ooh.
See Sterling Marlin in the 40 car.
Could Leffler have been slowing to enter the pit, Darrell?
I think he was trying to get on pit road. I think. See, he's coming, and here, yeah, see, he's trying to get down pit road. Schrader, man, and Sterling got in the back of Schrader hard, too.
And look at Carl Edwards in the 99, just barely gets by. But I think you're right. The entrance to pit road is in such a bad position here because it's right in the middle of turn 4. Tough to get there even under caution, much less green. Speaking of pit road, I think they're all going to be on pit road for 4 tires and adjustments.
Jeannie?
Well, the 77 of Travis Koppel on his way in, regardless of whether anyone else was coming. Words of wisdom, as he said, we're pretty happy with the car. Don't go too far. Slight track bar adjustment. 4 tires and fuel, Matt.
Kurt Busch's team made a lot of headway over that last run. The car had started to tighten up, and he says it's almost turning too well now. They made a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment, and he's down and away.
Half around a wedge out of the left rear. Greg Biffle was not happy about the last pit stop when they had problems on the left rear. Dick Berggren.
Ryan Newman is having just the kind of day a race car driver would like to have. He pitted first. He is going to go out first. The most minor of adjustments causes the car to go from tight to loose, meaning that car is perfectly balanced.
There you see the race off pit road. Look at there. Kurt Busch in that 97 car gains 4 positions, as well as Tony Stewart. Look at Bobby Hamilton Jr. gains 4 spots. And this is the time spent on pit road, including the pit stop. Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch having the faster times. Kyle Busch in the 5, as well as Dave Blaney in 07 having the slowest of the top 10 times.
Let's take a ride with Jason Leffler.
I think what you're going to see is you're going to see him trying to slow down. He's thinking about he's trying to get on pit road. And you hear the contact.
Are you real tight all the way through? Just run into the back there. Hold what you got. Hold the brake. Hold the brake. Hold the brake. Hold the brake. There you go. Now you can let it roll.
Tough break for Leffler. 87 laps complete in the UAW-DaimlerChrysler 400 on Fox.
You got to know when to fold up, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough to count when the dealing's done.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., new into Fulham, apologized for taking out Brian Vickers, and looking live here at Mark Martin pulling into the garage. Again, Jr. out of the race. Matt Kenseth 2 laps down, going for his 3rd straight, and we're getting ready for the restart.
Mark Martin came in, lifted the hood, went back out for 1 lap, went to the garage. Yesterday's winner out of luck today. Matt Kenseth on the inside of Ryan Newman, working hard to get back 1 of the 2 laps he is behind the leader.
Yeah, when they had made the decision to change 4 tires instead of 2 with the time he had lost when the tire was rubbing, he actually went 2 laps down, so now he's 1 lap down, so this man won't say caution right away.
I thought it was pretty interesting, though, the radio transmission he had with Robbie, where he said if we'd have taken 2, we'd have gotten the lucky dog right now.
As it was, Elliott Sadler. Did Sadler get the lucky? No, Kyle Petty got the lucky dog.
And Matt was calling for 2. You know, give me 2 left sides, thinking like that. I thought it was pretty sharp on his part that he was that aware of what was going on.
But they know they have a good race car. I go back to our practice session yesterday as we monitored 10-lap average runs, 20-lap average runs. The man that was at the top of the charts, all of those runs, was Matt Kenseth in the 17.
We often talk about making no mistakes as Ryan Newman leads Travis Quaffle here, 1st and 2nd, nose to tail.
I don't think it's going to be for long. He got a good run off turn 4, and Ryan Newman said, hey, you caught me that quick. You go ahead, my friend. Take the lead.
Yeah, Travis followed him for a good bit on that last run, but Travis got a good race car. Get on out there and go, dude.
First Nextel Cup race that Travis Quaffle has led. Now, Jimmy Johnson went in the pits 3rd and came out 19th. What happened, Dick?
You're not going to believe this one, Mike Joy. I don't believe this one. Going to show you what happened. Here's the wheel. They got all the studs cleaned. All the lug nuts came off. Front tire changer, Shane Parsnow, pulled the wheel out. And as he did, one of the lug nuts hit the ground, bounced back up again. He didn't notice it. He tried to put the wheel back on. It didn't go. Wheel off, lug nut off. Then the wheel back on again. That was just rotten luck.
Hey, you don't see Penn and Teller in their pit anywhere, do you?
No, but it almost seems as if that was magic. I've never seen anything like that before, and I've been doing this stuff for almost 25 years.
Now, I've heard of lug nuts bouncing up and getting hung between 2 studs, but never back on the lug stud. That'll never happen again in that tire changer's career, I guarantee you.
All I can tell you is I hope they had it on tape, because that'd be a hard one to explain.
Jeff Gordon, 24, the DuPont Chevy, passing Casey Mears and Scott Wimmer. Gordon moves up to 12th, and there's Johnson coming back into the picture, and he's going to take him 3 wide with the momentum off turn 2.
It'll work down the backstretch. Something to have to give going off into turn 3. Scott Wimmer wisely rolled out just a little bit to get back to 2 wide into 22.
With that 48 car, look at him get back in the throttle and just clear those guys right through the center of the corner. That means when they were in there playing with the throttle, he was wide open coming.
See the battle right here. Scott Riggs in the 10, remember, had to start at the rear of the field because of a transmission change, and he's up to the 6th position. And remember, Tony Stewart was involved in that wreck. It wasn't but about 25 laps ago. He was 29th, but now he's in the top 10, Steve Burns.
Yeah, and listen to this, Larry Mack. Before the accident on lap 64, in which he was caught up in, he said, boys, I think we have a shot to win this race. As you said, he suffered some bumper damage, and he said to his pit crew, boys, sit back and watch the show, because I'm coming through the field. His spotter, Mark Robertson, said, be patient, Tony. There's still a lot of laps left. He said, yeah, don't worry about it. And as you said, now he's all the way back up to 6th.
Tell you what, Steve, I'm pretty impressed with the car right behind him. Bobby Hamilton Jr. in that 32 car had one of his better qualifying runs on Friday. His team had a good pit stop the last time, and now he's up there running in the top 10 and 8th.
Hello, I'm home. Kurt Busch, the hometown hero and Nextel Cup champ, is right on the tail of the 2 leaders, and if they'd ever quit going side by side, there'd be some room for him.
But if you see right there, Ryan Newman will prevail, take the lead back from these guys.
Looked like Travis just pulled down and said, you guys are faster than I am. Have at it.
There you see Greg Biffle now in the 16 working on Quaffle for the 3rd place. It looks like something has started to go backwards on Travis Quaffle's car because he went from 1st to 4th in about a lap.
I'm not so sure he just didn't get out of the line a little bit over there, and that's how come maybe got a little bit loose, and that opened the door for Ryan and Kurt both to go by.
And look how Kurt has distanced himself from Greg Biffle and gone right after our new leader.
And we talked about Matt Kenseth wanting a caution. Another car that wants a caution is that 42 car, the Texaco car of Jamie McMurray. Remember, we talked a while ago before that last caution, he made an unscheduled pit stop. He thought he had either a loose wheel or a flat tire. He had neither. He's 1 lap down, but right now he would be the free pass car back on the lead lap if we get a caution.
All right, and I'll take the driver's role in that. They told him he had neither, but he must have thought he did.
There's McMurray right behind 4th place, Travis Quaffle. So Ryan Newman has Kurt Busch about to be breathing down his neck as they go around here at 180 miles an hour. Matt Yocums is somebody who knows about speed.
Definitely, Mike Joy. You could tell during our pre-race show ceremonies, the crowd were on their feet cheering as Lieutenant Commander and Colonel Mike Chandler led the USAF Thunderbirds. A very patriotic pass by. But how does the excitement of your job match the excitement here on pit road?
I think a lot of it's the same. I mean, it's just to be around here, to feel the excitement, the build up to the start of the race. It's kind of the same things we experience when we go out there and do an air show, kind of putting on a performance for this kind of crowd. It's incredible.
And you're a longtime race fan from Iowa.
Oh, I love it. I love it, man. Just the NASCAR, the people, the excitement, the race. It's great. Huge fan.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Casey Kane has crashed, and that will put us under caution at lap 100.
But Casey Kane's misfortune, that's what Matt Kenseth needed. He's back 1 lap down, and Jamie McMurray, he will get the free pass in the 42. There's the caution those two were hunting.
I think Travis Quaffle needed that too. Something was going on with him. He was backing up. Maybe, Jeannie, you know why?
Well, guys, you watch the 77 of Travis Quaffle start to slow down a little bit, and really what happened was he got some trash on the grill, quite possibly the same trash that's causing the slowdown and maybe contributing to some of the trouble we're seeing out on the track. They were worried about some temperatures. And the other concern for the 77, he lost his initial radio. He's gone to his backup radio, so they sent a crew member running to the garage to get another one to sit here just in case. Hopefully they don't have to make a radio change.
I go back to Chris Myers and Jeff Hammond in the pre-race show. Remember, they talked about how aggressive these crew chiefs get with that tape to help the aero part of these race cars. All it takes is tire rubber building up on it like they talked about, or one piece of trash and the water temperature starts going up. As you said, Darrell, he needed this caution too.
Yes, sir, and he needed error on the side of conservatism on his tape.
The fellow who didn't need this caution right there, last year's runner-up in this race by inches, Casey Kane. Darrell, let's see what happens.
He's been slowing down, Mike. He got off at 2 over there while ago and just lost a bunch of speed, and he's been getting slower and slower. And I think he may have been experiencing some sort of maybe a tire problem. See him wiggle a little bit, and then around she came. Gosh, that hurt.
That was a hard lick.
Well, that area from turn 4 toward the start-finish line is one area of this track that is not protected by the safer barriers. That was indeed a hard hit. Jeannie?
All right, here comes Travis complaining that the car was still a little bit tight. They were very conservative with the track bar adjustment last pit stop. They're going to go at it a little harder this time. 4 tires and fuel, Matt.
Kurt Busch really coming to life, his race car. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment a little free on that left set of tires, and he's away, Steve Burns.
Matt, Greg Biffle is not happy. For a car running third, they made an air pressure adjustment and a track bar adjustment. Dick.
Another advantage to pitting where Ryan Newman pits. Slow on the left rear, so he is going to get beaten out. But the crew was instructed to listen to the other teams. And if they were starting to take 2 tires, Newman was going to take 2 tires. So he was not going to get beaten off pit road. What an advantage this first pit stall is.
All right, look at the race off pit road. Dave Blaney in the 07 car qualified back in 29th. I think what Felipe Lopez did right there is he changed his 2 tires to gain all those positions. And this will be the times on pit road, and I think that right there is the telltale sign that he changed 2 tires. Kurt Busch probably had the better of the 4 tire stop changes. Time, Scott Riggs, Tony Stewart, the slowest of the cars that changed 4 tires.
Probably the most disappointed on this round of pit stops, Carl Edwards. They had to push his car through several pits to get it refired, and he comes out tail end. Matt?
Mike, the biggest problem for Carl Edwards before that caution, all the tape on the front of that race car to repair that cosmetic damage had blocked off a part of the airflow to cool that engine. The water temperature had climbed to 260 degrees.
You can tell how much that front end is damaged, and what there is, it's an aluminum duct that goes from those openings to the radiator, and in fact, that's probably hurting the flow of air to the radiator.
He's going to get some help from Kurt Busch's crew.
And I tell you what, I have pushed cars down pit road like that, and pit road seems like it's 500 miles long when you're pushing a car and it will not refire.
Michael Waltrip will restart tail end of the longest line. There was no catch can affixed during the refueling of his Napa Chevy.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by Home Depot, NASCAR's home improvement warehouse. By Coca-Cola, make it real. By America Online. Want a better internet? You belong at America Online. And by the next Ford F-150, built Ford tough. Nice to have you with us here on Fox, and here's a look at the Coca-Cola Racing family so far as we've gone 105 laps. Kurt Busch currently running second. Some of the other competitors competing here. Kurt Busch also has led 3 laps in today's race. Kurt and Kyle with us on the pre-race show talking about coming from Las Vegas, the pressure Kurt in the 97 car racing in front of his home folks. Here's how he approaches it.
There is that little extra pressure, but you still have to treat it like a regular race. To me, there's like 5 or 6 big races a year, and this is one of them, I think, to everybody. And Vegas does have that prestige of when you win here, it's something special. So to be from here, I want to do that much better. I want to attack this racetrack and win the pole, lead every lap, and what I've forgotten to do is work on my race setup so that I can be there at the end of the 400 miles. So that's what I'm going to do this time around.
Kurt Busch, by the way, a 10-to-1 betting choice in Las Vegas prior to the race, and again, currently running second behind Dave Blaney, Ryan Newman third. Time for a Visa race break here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers from the Hollywood Hotel. If you joined us a little bit late, should have been here earlier. We're 1 caution away from a track record. 5 so far. It started early, lap 12, turn 1. Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the back of Brian Vickers. Ricky Rudd also involved. Bobby Labonte, the onboard view from the 8 car, Budweiser. Junior apologized for it later. At the moment, you see Vickers kind of just signaling how frustrated he was. He was overheating more than his car. Then Matt Kenseth into the back of Elliott Sadler, causing this on lap 65. 6 cars involved, including Jeff Gordon. Matt Kenseth going for 3 straight, goes a couple of laps down with a tire problem here. He's worked his way back to 1 lap down. Again, trying to win his 3rd straight Las Vegas race at lap 85. The 4th caution came out. Jason Leffler, Sterling Marlin, Ken Schrader involved. Moments ago, Casey Kane involved as well. And Jeff having some problems here, creating another caution flag.
Yeah, his car got loose right in the middle of the corner and hard in that outside wall. It looked like right now that Casey Kane's day is going to be done. Also, from the onboard camera, you can see once again the car just comes around and up into the wall.
And Mark Martin having problems, one of the Roush cars, although a successful weekend prior to today. Matt has the latest.
Chris, he was down a cylinder. The crew decided to bring the car back to the garage. Doug Yates and Jack Roush going to work on that engine. They've taken the valve covers off, already put them back on just to check and see if there's anything that they could do to fix it. Mark Martin entered the day 3rd in the championship standings. He will take a hit today. Steve?
Matt, on pit stops on lap 87, Mike Bliss stopped pretty deep in his box, very close to the pit stall of Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart hit the tire carrier, Mike Morneau, on the zero car. Morneau is okay. He was up walking around, but has gone to the care center. The tire bounced off and hit Jody Fortson, the tire carrier for Tony Stewart, as the green flag goes. Right now, Jody Fortson has some hurt ribs and has also hurt the fender on Tony Stewart's car.
Good job.
3 wide into turn 1. Elliott Sadler wants to get back on the lead lap. He passes Matt Kenseth to the inside. And he's out in front of Dave Blaney and Kurt Busch.
I tell you who else was on the lead lap. That 17 car, Matt Kenseth. Remember, 2 laps down with an unscheduled stop, made one of them up. He's back up there already trying to get the other one back.
The more aggressive move to me is that 07 car with Blaney on board. He wants to lead this baby.
And he's doing it. Felipe Lopez, his crew chief, tried 2 right side tires only early in the race. Worked out pretty good. He decided to do it again this time.
3 wide right there. There's the eye of the storm, and Kyle Busch right in the middle of it. In the number 5. There's still 3 wide all the way down the backstretch. Harvick in the middle. Bobby Hamilton Jr. up top completes the pass of Harvick.
I think those 4 tires will prevail over those 2 on the outside here as Kurt Busch looks to the inside. Should have the advantage down into turn 1.
Biffle in the 16 looked like for a second he wanted to make it 3 wide into turn 1. He decided to do a little different. He's side by side for second place.
Blaney led that lap by less than 1,000th of a second over Kurt Busch.
Whoa, trouble down here. Turn 4. Up.
Nemechek
saved it. Good job, Joe.
We stay green.
Going inside. Gather back up.
And he was running in the 9th position. He's going to go all the way to the back, but he's lucky he didn't hit the wall.
Well,
Clear. Get your rhythm back.
If he got any help getting down there or not. It's on the outside of Tony, and I think, yeah, they brush.
Wow, that's a whole lot of slideways for Nemechek.
That's about as much as you can slide and not go ahead and spin out or hit the wall.
That was a great save. Good job, Joe.
Meanwhile, Mark Martin has come back into the race after a stay in the garage. Here's Matt.
Jack, you've had a chance to take a look at the engine. What's wrong?
Well, we're not sure. It looks like it broke the head off a valve. The valve spring's okay. Retainer's okay. The push rod was unhooked from the rocker arm. We've disabled the cylinder, took the push rod out, took the spark plug out. We'll see how long it'll run. If it doesn't have too many parts floating around, it might be able to make minimum speed.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.
Now, Doug Richard, Greg Biffle's crew chief, also notified him of the problem that's taken Mark Martin out of winning this race. Told him to be careful with his engine. Don't over-abuse it.
Now, the reason they take the spark plug out is to relieve the pressure in that cylinder. The valve is not opening, so it can't do its normal thing. So you take the plug out, it runs around here. It sounds like an old John Deere tractor, but it'll run that way.
It just kind of freewheels. Here comes Jimmy Johnson pulling down on Ryan Newman. This is for 4th place. Johnson just made a bold move to take 4th, and I don't think he's done yet.
It's like every pit stop, Chad Canals, his crew chief, and that team, they make this car better. I mean, he's right around the bottom. He's able to pick the throttle up and drive off the corner and stay in it.
Let's get an update from Steve on what happened between Tony Stewart and Joe Nemechek.
Well, Mike, I have not heard anything out of Tony Stewart, but I sure have out of Joe Nemechek. He feels like Stewart did that on purpose as a retaliation for the incident earlier when the 01 got into the back of the 20 car and dented his rear bumper.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that one, Steve.
That's questionable, but let me tell you what it did do. It has hurt the performance of that 20 car because he is falling back through the field now, and you damage the right front fender, you lose an incredible amount of downforce.
And they're back together again, battling for 16th position.
They're not cutting each other any slack, I can tell you that.
Steve, the overhead view showed that Joe might have been coming down the corner. It looked a little more like Tony held his ground. We just call it a racing incident. Casey Kane out of the race. Here's Matt.
Casey, the crew's trying to fix the race car. What happened?
We were junk. We were trying to change it. We came in, worked on it, and didn't make it any better right there. We made it worse. Running 2 seconds off the pace and still crashed. So I don't know. I feel bad. I wish we could run a little better at the UAW-400.
And right now, Casey in the garage is 15 laps down. In 7 more laps, Mark Martin would pass him. And as we keep talking about, 5 points is so precious right now in this chase for the Cup. Even 3 points, finishing way back there.
Well, I think, Larry, that's one of the things we've picked up on, and the teams have too, is we're not running a 36 race schedule. We're running 26 right now. So you got to think 26 races, and you got to get points everywhere you can. If it means staying out and leading under caution, or if it means fixing it and getting back out there and running a few laps.
An oft-heard phrase in Las Vegas, famous for championship boxing bouts, is the tale of the tape. Here at the track, Jeannie, it's a little different.
Ah, yes. Taping the grill, kids. 101. Take notes. Now, a lot of times we do talk about, pulling tape off the grill, and you think, my goodness, is there any method to the madness? Well, Larry Mack, you know there is. And the engineer, prior to the race, puts this little grid together, if you will. Tire carrier Mike Houston said, you know what? This thing's important. This is the tape they just pulled off Travis Quapple's grill when he came through. Corresponds right here. Tape 1, easy to follow, not going to make any mistakes. They live and die by this.
Well, again, the crew chief used to just tell the tire changer. He would actually write numbers on those pieces of tape. But again, that's the tire carrier that's trying to pull that tape off. He has a big responsibility in just carrying the right front and the left front tire. And you're going to watch it here. After he puts the left front tire in position, he reaches up there based on what they showed him on that picture and pull that tape off. And he basically shows crew chief Shane Wilson, I got it. It's off.
And you have to anticipate, key word in racing, big word in racing, anticipate that you're going to pick up debris and you're going to pick up a crash in the radiator, and you're going to need to get more and more opening as the race goes on.
The only thing I will say, though, it appears they've made some adjustments on Travis Cards. You can see him really wiggle off turn 4 right there. He's not as good as he was early in the race. In fact, he's back there in 8th position, running about 3 or 4 tenths off of our leader, Kurt Busch.
Speaking of Busch, how about younger brother Kyle Busch at age 19 there in the 5? He's been very aggressive, moving his way up through, and Darrell, it looks like he's been doing all that passing on the bottom as he goes after Scott Riggs in the 10.
Well, that's the ideal place to pass. You get down there, it's a little shorter distance. Plus, you can root and gouge and slip and slide and get right up in front of a guy.
Just remember, Elliott Sadler in the 38 car, he is 1 lap down right now. Now, should we get a caution, he would not get the free pass. Matt Kenseth in the 17 would get it. Elliott, our outside pole sitter, went a lap down early in the race. Look at him, 3 wide off turn 2 here. And look at Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. He's back up there battling to get in the top 10. Yeah, Travis Quaffle in the 77 just keeps losing positions right now.
Something happened to his car in that last, before that last caution. He just kept sliding back. Then he was back to 8th place, and now the car just doesn't have that look it had early in the race.
Well, now Busch goes to the high side, going after Riggs once more, but he may have to deal with Harvick in the 29.
I mean, it's so neat to be able to see a car work in the 2nd and 3rd groove here at Las Vegas. Darrell, the first 3 or 4 years we came here, you couldn't think about running a half a groove off the bottom of the racetrack. It was no man's land.
Like I said, if you can get your car to work a little up off the bottom, 2nd groove and higher, you can pass a lot of race cars, because everybody here wants to be around the bottom on that yellow line.
Harvick goes after Kyle Busch. Ricky Rudd back in the race, as now is Bobby Labonte after that lap 13 crash. And behind Harvick, who we're watching there at 8th spot, Jeff Gordon 9th, and then Bobby Hamilton Jr. In 10th, just moved past Travis Quaffle and up into the top 10.
TIDE's looking pretty racy today.
And this is probably the best run this team has had in probably over a year. They started to show a little bit of light at Fontana 2 weeks ago with a top 20 finish. I talked to owner Cal Wells at the airport. He said this is another new race car. It's like maybe finally he's reaping the reward for hiring Bobby Hamilton Jr. along with his crew chief Harold Holly.
I think that's probably the difference right there, Larry, is Harold Holly comes in. He's got his own way of building cars. He's got his own suspension setups. He's probably just getting those all put in place.
Joe Nemechek in that 01 car, remember, he was just about wrecked in turn 3 and 4 about 15 laps ago. He's back in the top 10 now.
Chevy, 7 spots in the top 10. They don't have 4th. That's where Ryan Newman is, or 1st and 3rd, where the Roush cars run.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by Nextel. Go to foxsports.com to find out how you can be the Nextel Fan of the Week.
.126 laps complete. We have tied the record for caution flags in a Las Vegas Nextel Cup race. Here's how the leaders came onto pit road. Kurt Busch was the leader. Jimmy Johnson 2nd. Greg Biffle 3rd. Ryan Newman 4th, entering the pits. Pretty standard service for the Roush cars. One chassis adjustment in the right rear biffle.
Have to keep making chassis adjustments to keep up with this racetrack. But there you see the 97 car, Kurt Busch, led by Jimmy Finning. They maintain, pick up that one position right there. You can see the real loser, though, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. His positions gained and lost off pit road. But I'm going to tell you who the real winner was on that caution. Matt Kenseth in the 17. He is now back on the lead lap.
And now you go through a series of runs here, and another caution comes out, and you get your track position back, and you're in position to win the race.
It's not that many laps ago, he was 2 laps down after making an unscheduled stop for a tire rub.
This is Travis Quaffel's stop. Oh boy.
I get the impression that he felt like he did not have a lug nut on the right front. Again, you cannot leave the pit box until you have all the lug nuts on. Almost disaster there, Jeannie.
Yeah, Larry Mack, you are exactly right. That was the thought process, that the lug nut wasn't completely on that right front. Obviously, miscommunication as front tire changer Clay Robinson made his way back around the car. Travis, unaware, when he looked up, he saw the near disaster there, and as Travis pulled away, he said, geez, sorry.
But that's not Travis's fault. If it was not communicated to him to hold up, Travis's indication to leave is when that jack drops. He's supposed to go.
And I went for it.
All right, working the
it was just
record time flag of the race as they noodle it out in Travis Quaffel's pit. Let's meet this week's Nextel fan of the race.
We're at the Nextel Experience with a fan of the week, Captain Chuck Thompson. And 1998, this guy found NASCAR, saw teamwork as part of NASCAR and part of the United States Army, of which he is a part. Been in Iraq. You guys get a chance to watch NASCAR in Iraq?
Yes, sir. We'd gather on TV around midnight every Sunday night, finish up about 4 a.m. Monday, go on with our duties after that.
And this trip to the Las Vegas Speedway was a surprise from his wife, who unfortunately can't be with us. Home pregnant, expecting a baby?
Yes, sir. Hey, Jill, how are you?
All right, back to you.
Thanks, Dick. If you want to be considered and appear as Nextel Fan of the Week, go to foxsports.com/Nextel and enter today.
Larry, I noticed the 17 was back in the pit, opened the trunk, and whatever that vapor lock kind of problem they're having with the fuel system, I don't know if they fixed it or not, but they were looking in the trunk, maybe checking a fuel line to see if they were sucking air anywhere or something.
And they might as well, because they're going to have to start at the tail end of the longest line, because they were the free pass car, so nothing really lost there, trying to maybe establish what the problem really is. Probably looking to see if a fuel line was pinched off or something.
Getting set for the restart at 129 laps. Be a good time to stack up those speakers and use that Dolby surround sound. Take advantage of your high-def picture.
How about if we do it for the troops overseas?
Let's
crank it up.
Greg Biffle has moved to second, displacing Ryan Newman. So it's the Roush Fords 1-2, a Penske Dodge in third, and a Hendrick Chevy fourth.
Seeing Biffle and Busch at the front, it's just, again, it's reminiscent of 2 weeks ago in Fontana when they were the two cars that at the end of the day were up there fighting for the win.
But I tell you who's going to be fighting with them. That man racing for third right now, Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car. He just keeps on a-coming.
Yeah, well, think about it again. Fontana, he came on there late in the race and spoiled the 1-2 finish, got in between them.
I tell you, the turnaround of the day, I believe, is Elliott Sadler in that 38 car. Now, he's not running in the 5th position right there. He's a lap down, but should he get a caution like Matt Kenseth did a while ago, he would get the free pass back on the lead lap.
So we're back under green. Kurt Busch out of front by about 6 car lengths over Greg Biffle. Jimmy Johnson is third. Ryan Newman is fourth. Scott Riggs a strong fifth. Then Harvick, Blaney, Jeff Gordon, Nemechek, and Hamilton. Let's update pit stops. Start with Matt.
Kurt Busch, first car on pit road, first car off pit road. He told crew chief Jimmy Finning that he just needed one small adjustment. He was just a hair loose that entire run, a 14.3 second pit stop. They made a wedge adjustment. He is motoring away out front. Steve?
Well, Matt, Greg Biffle said his car was just a little bit free getting into the corners. So, as Mike Joy noted, they made an adjustment on the left rear jack screw and the track bar. Dick Berggren.
Well, Jimmy Johnson came into the pits in 2nd position. He entered the racetrack in 5th position. Now, that was a bit because he was tentative exiting his pit. As he got ready to leave the pit, a whole pile of cars showed up, and he just wanted to make very sure he didn't touch any of them. He surely remembered last year when he got into an altercation on pit road, damaged the right front fender, and that was the end of his day. But this time, when Johnson got back on the racetrack again in 5th spot, he keyed his radio and told the crew, victory lane is waiting for them.
See, Dave Blaney in the 07 car, Felipe Lopez decided to change 4 tires at last stop. He's battling there with Jeff Gordon. This is a battle for the 7th position. But just to talk about how strong that 48 car is, we're halfway through this race. Jimmy Johnson, and he just ran the fastest lap about 3 laps ago that he's ran this entire race.
We've just crossed halfway in the UAW-DaimlerChrysler 400 at Las Vegas. Capacity crowd. Track owner Bruton Smith saying in a press conference this morning they were going to add more permanent seats down in turn 1 to accommodate the demand.
You know, Larry, I think the 38 car, Elliott Sadler, is a perfect example of a car that he could not drive in the beginning of this race. Got in trouble, got behind, couldn't drive it. Dog meat, what are we going to do? They've worked on it, and now look where he is. One of the fastest cars on the racetrack with a shot at getting himself back on the lead lap.
New 2nd place car, Jimmy Johnson, came off turn 4, put the move on Greg Biffle. Biffle trying to return the favor here as Kurt Busch moves away from this pair.
And Biffle in the 16, he got a really good run off turn 2. Now look how far, though, Johnson in the 48 drives it down in there, and the car's sticking, and he'll complete the pass in 3 and 4. It started off of turn 2, though.
Where I see Jimmy's car really fast, Larry, is in the center of the turn. He mats that thing and really gets a leap up off of both corners.
You go, guys, we talk about points, and we know how important every point can be. When that wreck happened back on lap 12 with Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ricky Rudd, Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be credited with a 40th place finish. Bobby Labonte, they worked for about 100 laps on his car. He went back out there and ran 4 laps just to be able to go by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now Ricky Rudd is out there as well, 84 laps down, so that means Dale Earnhardt Jr. already loaded up, lost 2 positions in this race, which can mean about 6 or 7 points.
.138 complete. Ford drivers Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle 1st and 3rd. Chevy 2nd and 5th. And Dodge with Ryan Newman 4th.
NASCAR Next Up Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by new high-endurance oils from Mobil, official lubricants of NASCAR. By Levitra. Ask your doctor about it today. Levitra, when it counts. By Pizza Hut, home of the new Pepperoni Trio Pizza. Gather around the good stuff. And by Lowe's, where you'll find all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, improving home improvement. Nice to have you riding along with us here in Las Vegas on Fox. Kurt Busch leading Saturday after a qualifying practice. He said we're going to roll the dice, play a little Yahtzee. He's playing with the house's money. right now. Declare your citizenship to the biggest NASCAR show to hit the air, NASCAR Nation. It's on Speed Channel. Special features like Beyond the Wheel, Home Base, The Big Story. NASCAR fans now can stay closer than ever to America's biggest motorsports. Don't miss NASCAR Nation this week on Speed. If you don't get the Speed Channel, call 1-888-22-SPEED. It's a show that takes you behind the scenes. You get to meet the drivers. For example, this week, Bobby Hamilton, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champ, the story of him living in his car before working his way up to the NASCAR Cup Series and becoming a successive driver. With Jeff Hamill, Chris Myers back here and getting a look at some of the cars motoring around the track.
Yeah, right now we're watching a pretty good battle between Greg Biffle and Ryan Newman. They're fighting for the third and fourth spot, and Newman is just taking that away from Greg Biffle.
All right, Matt Kenseth, who went 2 laps down, had some problems earlier, is now back on the lead lap, and also Travis Quapple, the rookie, who is a 65-to-1 shot. If you're betting in Vegas, part of the field, also is working his way back up.
Yeah, both of these guys right now. Matt's trying to work his way underneath Rusty Wallace, now working himself back up into the top 20. But it's a good recovery right now because these guys we're 2 laps down. And if you take a look all of a sudden out of the corner of our screen, you'll see Jimmy Johnson. He is closing in real quick on the 97 car, Kurt Busch. Again, he's been getting stronger as the day goes on. And being just past the halfway point, this is when the cream kind of starts to rise to the top. And the guys are starting to figure out this racetrack. Hey, business is getting ready to pick up.
Jimmy Johnson at his 4th Las Vegas Cup race, best finish 6th. And guys like Casey Kane, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Bobby Labonte already out of the race.
Yeah, those guys are not having a very good day, but if you'll notice, all the way around the racetrack, we got some great battles going on all the way back here in 21st. We have a battle right now for the lead as Jimmy Johnson takes it underneath Kurt Busch right there at the line.
Let's get back to Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Kurt Busch trying to give Jimmy Johnson all he can handle, but Johnson has that bottom lane. Busch a little stronger into the corner, but watch Jimmy Johnson come off turn 2.
Yeah, that's where he's so strong. Center off. Both ends.
And when you come off turn 2 that good, it makes you look like you have a lot more horsepower, but it's because you're able to stay in the throttle, carry that speed all the way down that straightaway. There you see his crew chief, Chad Knaus, watching. Remember, this car was in trouble at the beginning of the race. Major chassis adjustments.
Settle in and ride. Settle in and ride.
Good pit stops, and they're up there leading the race now. And I do think this racetrack is going through some transition right now. You can see the air temperature has come up just a little bit, but what's happening, turns 1 and 2 is starting to get some shade. It's actually cooling down, and you can see turns 3 and 4 getting all the sun right now is really starting to heat up. So we're still gaining temperature, and it's going to make these cars start sliding around. So these next few pit stops will be critical as far as the changes.
You know, Larry, one of the things that NASCAR does, they take the tires from the top 10 qualifiers. In other words, the set of tires you qualify on when you come into the garage, NASCAR impounds those 4 tires and makes you start the race on them. And that sometimes will upset a car, particularly if you've gone through happy hour, made some changes. You put those scuff tires on until you can get them off on your first pit stop and go to stickers. Sometimes the car's not happy.
Darrell, here's a couple of Dodge drivers having a kind of quiet good day. Casey Mears and Scott Wimmer has been up in the top dozen most of this race in the Cat 22.
Yeah, I believe if I was the Dodge boys, I would be encouraged by today's performance. These cars, the Dodges today, have been a little better than what we've seen the first couple of races. You've got Ryan right there in 3rd. And like you said, you got Casey Mears, Wimmer, Quaffle. You got some of those guys right back there, not too far behind.
Matt has more.
Wimmer running about 1.5 lanes off the bottom. A very impressive run. Now this team trying to dig themselves out of a huge hole as he bumps the wall. Trying to dig themselves out of a huge hole after crashing at Daytona. An impressive run at Fontana, a 16th place finish, moved up 6 spots in the points. They had a great test here in January. Felt like between the Fontana test and the Vegas test, they would have a better run here, knocking on the door of a top 10 finish.
Let's see what happened a lap and a half ago to Scott Wimmer.
He just got a little wide off turn 2 over there. Brushed the wall. That's a brush.
You just carry so much speed off the corner there, you just run out of racetrack, especially if the car is sliding the nose. But I think the biggest thing, Darrell, and you worked with him, his crew chief, Derek Finley, he's a racer, he's a thinker, and I think finally Scott Wimmer and Derek Finley are getting on the same song page.
Travis Quaffle challenging Wimmer. This will be for 12th.
Travis fell way, way back. I'm not sure what happened to his race car, but he fell back. Seems like the car is stabilized some now, and he's starting to work his way back up into the top 10.
Right now, this battle right here is about 10 seconds behind our leader, Jimmy Johnson. And I know right behind these two cars is a car we talked about earlier, Dave Blaney in that black 07 car. His car, we talked about the track going through transition. They changed 4 tires. His car is really starting to get tight. The front end's not wanting to turn.
So that's where the better drivers or the more experienced drivers, not necessarily better drivers, more experienced drivers can keep giving that information we talked about in the opening, Larry. What do I need to do to the car to keep you up front all day long? Travis is a rookie. Maybe he didn't give him enough information in those first couple of pit stops they made.
Speaking of experience, here comes Jeff Gordon underneath Scott Riggs. This is for 5th place.
I'd be getting just a little wee bit worried if I was the competition and the old 24 car started slipping up through the field.
It's something to remember. Scott Riggs in the 10 car is we're getting close to 100 laps to go. He's been fighting the flu all weekend. In fact, he had an IV before the race, and it's hot out there right now.
That's not uncommon, Larry. Drivers today, when they know it's going to be a little warm like it is today, a lot of them go to the infield care center on Saturday evenings and get them a couple of quarts of fluids pumped in them so they'll be nice and hydrated for the race on Sunday.
155 complete, 112 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson out in front of Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle. This is NASCAR on Fox.
Play the Gillette Young Guns $1 million watch and win game. Find game pieces on specially marked Gillette, Oral-B, and Duracell products. And this week, the Gillette Young Guns winning code number, QDSPXW. QDSPXW. Visit www.GilletteYoungGuns.com for the details, rules, and to find out how to get a free game piece. What's some of the Young Guns right now? 29-year-old Jimmy Johnson leading the way with Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers. 105 laps to go here in Las Vegas. Nice to have you along on this Sunday afternoon on Fox. Some of the quick storylines in race review, Jeff Hammond and Hendrick Engines. That was one of the discussions talked about, and so far Jimmy is answering that one.
So far everything's looking really good as far as the Hendrick camp's concerned. You got Jimmy leading along with his teammate Jeff Gordon running back here in 4th and showing out very strong. So no worries so far.
How about Kevin Harvick? We talked about his punishment, getting over that, starting at the back of the pack. He's all the way up to 6th.
Well, right now Kevin's doing what he has to do. He has to drive that number 29 car right back to the top 10, get the victory lane if possible, and take a little bit of heat off of this team.
And the Roush domination, of course, we see Kurt Busch up there and Greg Biffle. Mark Martin has had some problems, and so has Matt Kenseth, but Kenseth hanging in there as well.
Yeah, right now we're looking at Kurt Busch, but he's been strong all day. We're midway through a run, so when they get a chance to make a little bit of work on these cars, it's still a long ways to go. A couple of Roush cars still up there right where they need to be.
Also in review, of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We got the answer to that early, not turning things around here on lap 12 out of the race in a wreck. Let's check back in with Dick Berggren on Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car.
Well, NASCAR official John Mazzarelli has brought 2 of the other officials down here to Jimmy Johnson's pit, and they have had some conversation with crew chief Chad Knaus. Apparently, NASCAR has decided that somehow or another one of the rear fenders on that number 48 has gotten out of position, and they are requiring that fender be shoved back into position on the next pit stop. And it's the rear tire changer, Tim Latigat, that's going to wind up with the responsibility of fixing it.
Well, Dick, let me tell you what he's talking about. He's talking about in front of the rear tires. You can see it right there in front of the right rear tire. And that creates a lot of extra rear downforce. And the rule says that cannot be further than about 3/4 of an inch outboard of the rear tires. And they're going to make those guys push that back in and fix it on that next stop, which could cost them a lot of time.
And it could cost them a lot of time. That's amazing how many times that accidentally happens.
You want to make sure it don't rub.
Yeah.
That's what I always said.
For a little tug.
So they don't make any allowance for crash damage during the race.
And obviously, if it's going to get crashed, Mike, it's probably going to go in and not out.
Yeah, Mike, they would if you'd been in a crash.
This is sounding like Bumpergate all over again, isn't it? Well, Jimmy Johnson's going to have company because Jeff Gordon went past Greg Biffle to take over 4th and is closing on Ryan Newman. You look back from Newman's bumper, there is Gordon in 4th, and they are just 0.8 of a second apart, running 5 and 6 seconds behind leader Jimmy Johnson. An even faster mile and a half, Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's where we're headed next week. Sunday, NASCAR on Fox in high definition. The Golden Corral 500 presented on Fox by Gillette M3 Power.
Got us another good old 500-mile race on hot Atlanta. Should be a nice one.
Mile and a half racetrack, speeds over 200 miles an hour off into the corner. See, Mark Martin in the 6 car out there, remember, had the engine problems. They went to the garage area, and right now he is in 34th position, 23 laps down. So he has made up 1 position since he went out. Mark needs 2 things. He needs that motor to keep ticking all day long, could stand for a few more cars to fall out in these next 50 or 75 laps. Every spot is so valuable. See Ricky Rudd in the 21 car. Remember, he was involved in that wreck back on lap 12. He's out there in 38th position, 85 laps down, another 20 laps. He will gain another position. He'll go past Casey Kane, who is out of the race in the 9.
And once you get all you can, you know, realistically, you'll take it back to the garage.
You know, DW, you say that, but something I always prided in was not having DNFs. Take the checkered flag no matter how many laps down you are.
So we're just under 100 laps to go. The Lowe's Chevrolet of Jimmy Johnson out in front of Kurt Busch by 2.1 seconds. Ryan Newman another half second back.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by State Farm. Great service, great rates. That's why 40 million drivers trust State Farm.
93 laps to go in Las Vegas. Jimmy Johnson leading Kurt Busch now by 2 seconds. 7/10 behind Busch is Ryan Newman. Jeff Gordon is 4.5 seconds off the lead. He's got Kevin Harvick closing in. And Greg Biffle disappearing in his mirror along with Scott Riggs. Joe Nemechek, Travis Kvapil, and Bobby Hamilton Jr. are the top 10. And Larry, I don't imagine we're, I was going to say we're not too far from pit stops, but caution has just come out for debris in turn 3.
And just in the nick of time to save Kyle Petty, Jeff Green, Michael Waltrip, Jeremy Mayfield from going a lap down. And I think another person that this caution really benefits, Matt Kenseth, who was clawing his way back to the front, but he was only about 10 seconds from being lapped by our leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Lots of cars that were, Jimmy Johnson was looking at their rear bumpers.
Just picking them up and mowing them down.
Here's the free pass car, Carl Edwards. The first car 1 lap down, so he will get back on the lead lap.
Carl struggled ever since he stalled the engine there on pit road. He fell back to the back of the field, and he's had trouble catching up.
Now, that was the longest green run that we've had since this race started. So this is when these cars, the handling characteristics were really coming out. So there's no question we still have 26 cars on the lead lap, 27 including Carl Edwards, who will be back on the lead lap. We'll see everyone to pit road, I'm sure, for 4 tires and adjustments.
Look at the huge crowd here from our aerial coverage, and it's no wonder. Las Vegas is a big vacation destination. Plenty of hotel rooms, plenty of flights, plenty of rental cars, and wow, plenty of race fans.
Oh yeah, and it's not just in the grandstands. Look all through the infield and all around this joint, and there's cars everywhere.
This place is multi-purpose. You have the 1.5 mile racetrack, we have a dirt track, we have a 1/4 mile bull ring, we have a drag strip here. It's multi-purpose racing facility. Beautiful place.
That debris turned out to be a piece of plastic, but with the sun's reflection, it appeared to be a piece of metal. And rather than risk someone running over it in these thinly treaded tires and cutting one down, NASCAR brought the caution out for a record 7th time.
Well, it puts NASCAR between a rock and a hard place. You got guys that need a caution. That's the biggest piece of debris that's ever been. It fell out of the sky. Looks like a meteor fell on the back straightaway over there.
You haven't been over in Area 51, have you? Pit stops, Jeannie.
Well, they are talking about smoke on the 10 car of Scott Riggs, thinking maybe there's a tire rev from his little meet and greet with the 24 of Jeff Gordon. So the thought process here of crew chief Doug Randolph, normal fast pit stop. If we have a problem, we'll come back. And as they pull the tires off, they're going to look for the problem, Matt.
The wrench is already in the back window. Track bar adjustment to try to tighten up Kurt Busch's Ford. They also shuffled the air pressure going down in all 4 tires. Steve Burns.
Matt, Greg Biffle really got loose on that run, so they're going to drop the right side air pressure a pound, up 1 pound, left rear. Dick.
Well, the police are here at the number 48 Jimmy Johnson's pit to make sure that that fender is correct. He has taken 4 tires, and he's flying down pit road to try to hang on to the lead, and he has done it.
There you see the race off pit road. Ryan Newman picks up 2 spots, and I think the reason, sat on the Bud pole on Friday, he had that #1 pit spot. He just has to move a little bit to beat the other competitors off pit road. There you see the pit road time, including the pit stop. Ryan Newman, as well as Greg Biffle, the fastest. Jimmy Johnson, who was leading the race, and Scott Riggs, the slowest of the times of the top 10.
That makes sense on Johnson. They got to do that little bit of repair work.
Little body repair.
And also the tire rub on Riggs' car. They reported they probably spent a little extra time on that.
So there's a reason behind that. Now this will put these teams about 25 to 30 laps shy of making it to the end of the race. So everyone will at least have to make one more pit stop.
90 laps to go in Las Vegas. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. Welcome back way out west as we're under caution in Las Vegas. Ryan Newman, first car off pit road. He will take the restart green flag ahead of Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick up to 5th. Joe Nemechek, Travis Quaffle, Bobby Hamilton, Scott Riggs, and Kyle Busch.
That was Hammond and Myers, wasn't it?
I was thinking the same thing. You took the thought right out of my mind.
That those 2 guys were sitting on, I was thinking.
Green flag. Here comes Newman, the pole sitter.
Hello, Newman.
Right where he started the race 180 laps ago. Boy, Greg Biffle in the 16 got in big trouble down there in the middle of turn 1 and 2. He's going to lose the position to Kevin Harvick in the 29. That's a battle for 4th. It looks like the car took off with him when he drove off in the corner.
Jimmy Johnson had a check up between 3 and 4. Now moves to the high side behind Newman to get around Mike Wallace, the lapped car.
Man, it's fighting his way back. Travis Quaffle in that 77 car ran up front earlier in the race, got off just a little bit, but he's fighting his way back.
Yeah, I think they undoubtedly went the wrong way on an adjustment, because I noticed at the end of that run, just for the caution, he had gotten back into the top 10 and the car looked really good again.
3rd place, Kevin Harvick is coming. He's all but alongside of Kurt Busch entering turn 3. Dick?
And so many people thought that Happy Harvick was going to be out of this thing when they caught him with the fuel cell violation, made Harvick start in 42nd position. But all along, Mike, as we have talked to both Harvick and crew chief Todd Barrier, they have expressed confidence that they had a car good enough to win the race, even from the very tail end of the field. Here's why. Tail end of last year, they scrapped every car they had, except their Daytona cars. As the 48, Jimmy Johnson's fighting for the lead here with the number 12 of Ryan Newman. They scrapped all of the cars in the 29 team and built all brand new cars. They're all new style chassis, better aerodynamics, different underneath the car, little bit different suspension system, and they are obviously working well.
He's pretty much picked up right where he left off at Fontana, California. Had a great run there 2 weeks ago, but this battle's been going side by side for the lead for about 2 laps between Ryan Newman in the 12 and Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Now Mike Wallace in the 4, he'd love to see a caution. He'd be back on the lead lap in the Lucas Oil car.
He's doing a pretty darn good job of staying out in front of these cats. I know that, Mike Wallace in the 4 car.
He loves seeing these guys run side by side. He says, you guys just keep on.
Johnson led that lap by a couple of feet, but Newman drives it in hard down in turn 1.
But while these guys are doing this,
still there, inside.
You see Kurt Busch in the 97 car reeling them in.
Now Newman is pinned behind Wallace, and Johnson should be able to go on, but he kind of gingerly enters turn 3 on the bottom.
Yeah, he can't get in quite as well as Ryan Newman can, but buddy, he's still got that power off.
Boy, Mike Wallace was not bashful about driving that car down in the corner, was he? He's trying so hard to stay on the lead lap.
Can't fault him for that. Whoa, that's a little bit tight right in there. Yikes.
Look at him. Kurt Busch in the 97 car and Kevin Harvick in the 29. Woo. They're 3 wide racing for second place down the backstretch.
Kurt Busch has slid her right in there, I'll tell you.
Johnson clears Wallace. Here comes Busch on the bottom. Harvick with him. And they pin Newman behind the lap car.
Now, while these guys are running side by side, especially the 4 and the 97 and the 12 trying to get up in there, Jimmy Johnson's pulling away by almost a second.
Harvick to the bottom in the 29.
Ooh. Yeah, Kurt made a little run at him. He's saying, hey, dude, give me a break here. You know, the 4 cars kind of messing everything up. Let's get this sorted out.
But DW, Mike Wallace is certainly doing what he needs to do. He's trying desperately to get that free pass there.
Yeah, because he's got the 38 car right back there that's got the same thought on his mind. So they actually are racing each other, Elliott Sadler and Mike Wallace.
Ryan Newman, he is really starting to work that second and a half to third groove of this racetrack at both ends right now in the 12 car.
Kurt Busch, you saw, got a little loose off too. Harvick jumped underneath, but he ran up against Mike Wallace and has to go back single file. Dick Bergman.
Good news and bad news for Jimmy Johnson. The good news is that NASCAR has said the adjustments that they made to the rear fender on that pit stop, they're good to go on that. The body is just fine. Bad news, Johnson came on the radio shortly after the green flag and said he thought he had a tire out of balance. He has a vibration. In car number 48, your leader.
Boy, Dick, you'd never know it looking at the lap times right now, because right now he's beating the competition by over a half a second. As we see Scott Riggs in the 10 battling Jeff Gordon in the 24. This is a battle for 7th place.
You notice vibrations there when you're all out there all by yourself, nobody around you, you're not racing anybody. Things are, you notice things that you don't normally notice when you're in there racing with people.
Give a call to Kyle Busch, the driver with the yellow bumper there in the number 5, for a rookie with the added pressure of coming to race in his hometown in front of all of his longtime friends. Kyle's doing a great job. He's 6th, just ahead of that pair. Riggs and Gordon battling behind him, but he's had quite a day. He's been up there.
He really has. And I think, you know, well, we have to remember, only 19 years old, and he's out there racing these guys much older than him and with a lot more experience. 19 years old.
Tell you somebody that's not too far behind this crowd right here either. There's Tony Stewart. He's up to 10th place.
You are the man.
I think Tony's issues.
Well, I'd like to see what this car can do out in clean air.
Third place, Kevin Harvick going after Kurt Busch.
I think Tony's issues has been his fenders, though. I think he got those fenders beat in a little bit. These pit stops have helped him work on that thing, and that car looks a lot better now. The whole right side of it's all caved in, but it's going on.
Harvick now with clear sailing. Ryan Newman out in front of Kevin by 1 second. Jimmy Johnson right now owns a 1.9 second lead.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by UPS. We're going to race the truck. People love the truck.
Caution is out for a spin by Scott Riggs. Pit road's open. Matt?
Work already going on. Kurt Busch is 4. They've already made a track bar adjustment. They backed up the change to maybe 4 and went on one more round. And, Steve, they backed up on the air pressures. He said he was getting walked all over at the beginning of the run.
Joe Nemechek came in 5th. They made no adjustments to that race car, just 4 tires. Good stop for them. Dick?
Now Jimmy Johnson came in, took 4 tires, and that'll get rid of that vibration almost certainly. He was the leader coming in, but a couple of people have beaten him going out.
There you see the race off pit road. Ryan Newman that in pit box prevails again. Tony Stewart, the real winner there. He gains 3 positions. And there you see the pit road times on every one. Ryan Newman, Matt Kenseth up in the top 10 now, the fastest. Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, the slowest. And what we're also hearing, the 29 car is going to have more problems because he was too fast on pit road exiting. That means with 29 cars on the lead lap, he will have to start this race at the tail end of the longest line with about 70 laps to go.
That's bad luck for Harvick, but not as bad as the day turn for Scott Riggs. Running in the top 10 all day. Watch his number 10 here at turn 4.
Maybe just comes around with him. Looks like the car was just real free. He does have a right front down. I'm not sure if it was before or after the spin, but then this is not the bad news. The worst news is he tears a whole right front fender off the thing getting to pit road.
Stay in here. Stay up. Stay up. Stay up. Caution down. Caution is up.
And here's what happened as he stayed out an extra lap trying to wait for pit road to be open. And Kurt Busch is back in, Matt.
They had to hit 2 lugs on that left front of Kurt Busch. Costly mistake for this Nevada native. They're going to do a little tug on the fender. Loses a lot of track position because of those 2 loose lugs.
Well, Kevin Harvick will have company in the back.
And Mike, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. You know, mistakes on pit road. It can beat you every time, especially this late in the race, whether it's speeding by the driver or lug nuts by the pit crew.
Good news for Busch, 71 laps to go. The day got off to a bad start for several drivers. 12 laps into this race, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got into Brian Vickers entering turn 1, a wreck that also took out the green car Bobby Labonte and heavily damaged Ricky Rudd's car. Dale Jr. took a hard shot to the safer barrier. Here's Jeff Hammond, the State Farm safety update.
Hi, I'm Jeff Hammond. We're down here with the cutaway car. It's a State Farm safety report. And the reason why you see a lot of these drivers able to walk away, the deal is because of the helmet, the head and neck restraint, Hans device, as well as the seats a lot of these guys are using today. Specially designed for them. In the event of a crash, the helmet hits outside of these padding, keeps them with inside the restraints, keeps them tucked in that little cockpit area there. Able to hit the wall tremendously, yet walk away in their own power. And after that wreck, Dale Earnhardt even apologized to Brian Vickers for what happened. You couldn't have done that. It hadn't been for these good safety measures that they have in these NASCAR cars today. Mike?
Thank you, Jeff. Scott Riggs back on track after bringing out this caution for what seemed like a Harvick spin. And Darrell, my question is, when he spun at turn 4, why not just go across onto pit road, take the penalty for pitting before pit road is open, get that car fixed before that tire flails around and damages the right front fender?
You know, I think that's something the crew chief and the driver and the spotter really ought to really work hard on, is to, hey, when something like that happens, give me the lesser of all the evils. And that would be go across the pit road and come in there and get your penalty, start along this line, and you got your car still in good shape.
That would certainly be tearing that fender up. Now, we're going to have 69 laps to go on this restart. We saw a few cars at the back of the pack come in the pit road and top off. Michael Waltrip, Scott Wimmer, maybe they can stretch that mileage. Should we go green all the way, then obviously they can make it.
This is the place for long odds. UPS, official delivery company of NASCAR, delivers the chance to win 4 tickets to next year's Daytona 500. Go to foxsports.com, keyword UPS. You do not win the chance to race in the truck with Dale, but lots of other nice prizes.
But, you know, Kurt Busch, now he had to come back to pit road, so he got the advantage of topping up as well.
So we'll see how Busch and Harvick come back from 24th and 25th place on this restart.
See, Mike Wallace in the 4 car, he did not get the free pass that last time. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car is back on the lead lap now.
We'll mention also back in the race, Casey Kane. They bolted on a new trunk lid and spoiler onto what was left of his car. Up front, here we go.
Look at Mike Wallace. I mean, once again, he shot out there.
But how about that 01 car, Joe Nemechek? He just drives by Jimmy Johnson in the 48 going down the backstretch for 2nd place, but Jimmy wants to fight back on the high side. And how about that orange car, Tony Stewart? He's back in the equation in the 20 car.
And where are the Roush cars? The highest one of them in the running order right now is Greg Biffle in 6th, Matt Kenseth in 10th.
Well, they've had to deal with some issues, the Roush boys have. Busch obviously just back in the pits, and Matt getting behind, but he's fought his way back, so got a little ways to go here. We'll see what happens.
For the lead in the backstretch, Jimmy Johnson had to lift, go to the other lane to get under Mike Wallace, and then get back in the gas. Let's see if he beats Newman to the line. Not this time.
I mean, look at that. That's lap 200. And these guys are side by side, almost coming to a photo at the start-finish line for lap 200.
I think you better race. If you enjoy racing that 48, you better do it right now, because I don't know if you'll see him anymore for a while. Jimmy Johnson is out of here.
2 of the Hendrick-powered Chevys surrounding the Dodge of Ryan Newman. Jimmy Johnson, the leader. Joe Nemechek in 3rd. The Gibbs Chevy of Tony Stewart 4th. And another Hendrick Chevrolet. That's Jeff Gordon in 5th. And another Hendrick Chevy 7th. Rookie Kyle Busch. Two Fords in the top 10. Biffle, we mentioned. How about Dale Jarrett in 8th?
We've not talked about him today because he qualified in 13th. He went backwards when the race started. You can see right there he was as low as 26, but they've just continued to work on that car, and now he's in the top 10 up in 8th position with 66 laps to go.
Probably he and his teammate have done the best job of getting their cars where they can be competitive here at the end of the race.
A little tire rub once again on the 17 of Matt Kenseth as Jamie McMurray works his way around for 11th. And Kevin Harvick now has Rusty Wallace to contend with. Remember, Harvick had to come back in to serve that speeding penalty, and he's trying to come up from what's now 23rd place in car 29.
But when you look at that battle for 11th on the left with McMurray in the 42 and Kenseth in the 17, we just a second ago talked about Matt Kenseth being 2 laps down. Jamie McMurray thought he had a flat tire about 100 laps ago. He was a lap down back to free pass, trying to get back to the top 10. Elliott Sadler in the 38 car, remember, he just got the free pass just a few laps ago. Now he's trying to work back into the top 20. Right now he's back in 24th position.
Oh boy, man, Jeff Gordon had the nose right up on the back of Nemechek, and he turned Nemechek a little sideways off turn 4 that time.
You know, I think this is a day that validates the free pass rule. You don't want fans headed for the exit when their driver gets a lap down. You want them to have an honest chance to make it up. Yes, you can make it up on the racetrack if you restart next to the leader, as some drivers have done, but that's not always possible. You can't race back to the caution flag anymore. That was deemed unsafe, and rightly so. So the free pass rule permits a driver to have a chance to get back on the lead lap by maintaining position closest to the leader and being a lap or more off the pace. And today, it's worked.
And the good news is, every time a caution comes out, someone will be the recipient of that lucky pass.
Did he earn his way back by passing the leader? Perhaps not, but by being in position behind the leader, he earns the right to the free pass, just as Mike Wallace has just done, because caution is out once again for debris.
And we've seen how Mike Wallace has just driven his heart out to try to get in the position to get this back.
Makes it a good race within the race.
Now, what makes it interesting about this caution, it's only been 10 laps since these cars were on pit road. We have 27 cars on the lead lap, now 28 with Mike Wallace. We're going to have about 55, 57 laps to go. This puts these teams in a window where they can make it to the end. We've seen some cars, Darrell, run the risk, change those 2 right side tires. I think most of the guys at the front will do 4, but I think we may have some guys trying to get track position at the back do 2.
I want to come in. If I can make it from here to the end, get me in that position. That's the position I want to be in.
You got it. Well, if you follow the leaders, you'll follow the leaders.
That's right.
It's a long way back if you gamble, because there are going to be 28 cars on the lead lap on this restart.
Oh, but it feels so good when you're still going and they're still pitting.
Safety truck picks up some debris at the exit of turn number 4 down in the low groove.
Well, we've got a number of cars out there with damage, so we're going to end up, with a piece of debris every now and then falling off of some of these cars that have had wrecks and repaired and gotten back out there.
And everybody's coming.
This very well could be these teams' last pit stop, so this is where you have to be on the mark. No mistakes, no speeding, no loose lugs, Jeannie.
Absolutely. The 77 of Travis Kvapil. They didn't want to outsmart themselves last time, guys, so they didn't make any changes. Well, Travis has been complaining about the handling, so air pressure adjustments, track bar adjustments, add 4 tires, Matt.
Kurt Busch slid into his pit box. The jack came down a tick too soon on the previous stop. That's why they had the loose lugs. A skosh of air in the left rear. He said the car was drivable loose, Steve. Matty, no changes for Joe Nemechek. Likes his car. Crew Chief Brian Pemberton says, nice, clean stop, boys. Dick?
Jimmy Johnson still in the pits. He has taken 4 tires. Finally, off he goes.
Well, I think as we anticipated, we did see some teams try just those 2 tires. I think Casey Mears, and one in particular, gained 7 spots. Dave Blaney, Elliott Sadler as well. Again, go ahead, try it right now, because if you come back out in 20th, you're not going to get to the front. So I think this was a good move by those teams.
Yeah, Blaney and them had tried it before and looked like it didn't work too badly on his car, so it's not a bad move, certainly on his part.
And there you see the time difference. Ryan Newman, 12 car, 38. Elliott Sadler, the fastest of the times. Jeff Gordon and his teammate Jimmy Johnson, the slowest of the 4 tire changes.
"60 laps to go. Chevy, Dodge, Chevy, Ford. Business is picking up here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway in the UAW-DaimlerChrysler 400.
Fox welcomes you back to Las Vegas. Ryan Newman currently leading, under 60 laps to go. Time for this Visa race break. And Matt Kenseth came in trying to win his 3rd straight race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway early on. Creates a wreck involving Elliott Sadler, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon, all involved. Kenseth later had a tire problem, went 2 laps down, but has worked his way back up to 12th. And in the hunt, chasing Ryan Newman and Casey Mears. This has been a Visa race break. Let's get back upstairs to Mike, Larry, and Darrell.
It's going to be 57 laps to go when they wave this green flag. The Dodges of Ryan Newman and Casey Mears, who took 2 tires, out in front of Jimmy Johnson and Joe Nemechek's Chevys. The Ford of Elliott Sadler, Dave Blaney, Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and Kyle Busch.
Boy, Kyle Busch in the 5 car, he saw that line was not going, and the move he made was perfectly legal. He passed to the outside before the start-finish line, but the green flag was displayed.
Yeah, Casey Mears just didn't get going, Larry, and kind of backed everything up.
Jeff Gordon underneath. That's Biffle. And here they come. Who will lead this lap?
Inside.
Johnson.
And again, we need to make a note that Ryan Newman in the 12, as well as Casey Mears in the 41, Elliott Sadler in the 38, Dave Blaney in the 07, elected to change just those 2 right side tires. And the biggest thing that happens, Darrell, when you do that is the air pressure grows. The more you run the tires, it takes a little bit of time to get the air pressure to come up in those right side tires to match the air pressure in the lefts.
To get that balance back, it takes a few laps.
And Larry and Darrell, the one thing I like about these guys rolling the dice right now, they had just been on pit road, like lap 198.6, 197. Actually had probably 5 or 6 green laps on those left side tires. I think it's a great time to roll the dice, putting on 2 tires.
Well, more importantly, right now, Newman took the lead back from Jimmy Johnson, and here is Johnson this time with a much better run off turn 2 than he got the last lap, trying to retake the lead. But again, Newman shoves it hard into turn 3.
While these guys are racing side by side, Casey Mears in the 41 as well as Joe Nemechek in the 01, it's bringing them into the equation. Right now, Nemechek is trying to get by Casey Mears in the 41 for 3rd.
25 lead changes in this race. That ties the record set in 1999.
Newman's actually, I think his car looks a little bit better on the 2 tire combination. Jimmy Johnson has driven off and left him in the prior restarts, but Newman's hanging tough.
Here comes Gordon. Jeff Gordon underneath Biffle makes the pass.
Whoa, the 5 car
clears
got
Mears.
around. Woo, he almost lost it.
Kyle Busch. I tell you, the car that's really paid off for it looks like Elliott Sadler in that 38 car, his crew chief Todd Parrott. Remember, at one point he was a lap down. He got wrecked over in turn 3 and 4. Now with the gamble on 2 tires here, with about 50 laps to go, he's up there in the top 5. Our outside pole sitter.
I've been impressed with the recovery they have made. Just a good example of never giving up. And I think also it's a good example of these cars are so sensitive to making the right adjustments on them to take you out of the game, put you in the game.
Just as you'd expect, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car, again, he was involved in a wreck earlier, but he knows there's only 50 laps to go. He's trying to get to the front before his teammate Jimmy Johnson in the 48 gets too far out there, as he's battling right now for the 5th position with Casey Mears in the 41.
Yep, here comes Mr. Show Me the Money.
The money lap is close.
Well, the last 3 races here haven't been very productive for Jeff. A good day to turn all that around. 16th or better is all he's done here in the last 3 races.
Talked about Dale Jarrett in the UPS car, the 88 car, just a little while ago, and he's up there battling with Kevin Harvick, who had a speeding penalty not too many laps ago. And right now, this is a battle for 16th.
And look just in front of those two, Larry. Jason Leffler, who spun off the bumper of Ken Schrader to bring out a caution while entering the pits. We thought that car was badly damaged. It was not. Leffler's been a top 15 car even since that accident and for the rest of the day. Well, here comes Biffle in the National Guard, number 16. He moves past Casey Mears for 6th place.
And these are fast race cars, but what's happening, and Darrell, you talked about this earlier in the show, Jimmy Johnson is so fast at the beginning, he gets so far out there, these guys cannot run him down.
The way the caution they've been falling just right for Johnson, makes it difficult for these guys to catch him.
15th place here. Harvick overcoming the penalty. And let's reiterate why he started 42nd. He was not moved to the rear. Rather, his qualifying time was disallowed, so he had to take a place in the field based on owner points. The final place is 42nd. The 43rd spot in the field reserved for the champions provisional or the next car on time. That's why Harvick's official starting position listed as 42nd. Joe Nemechek and Ryan Newman fighting it out there, 2nd place.
It wasn't just a second ago that 5 car was dead sideways down the middle of 3 and 4. Did a great job of hanging on to it and bringing her back. It's been pretty racy.
In the 31 with Mike Bliss in the 0, battling Dale Jarrett. This is back at 18th position.
And Darrell, we saw this kind of racing at Fontana, California 2 weeks ago, and the fans may ask, well, why are we seeing better racing? I honestly believe now that maybe that little shorter rear spoiler on the deck lid back there, and plus the new tire combination, it's letting these guys get racy. It's creating a 2nd and 3rd group.
Well, I think what it does is you've got that coming and going thing that we talk about. I think some guys are really good on new tires and they can take off, like a Jimmy Johnson. Other guys like Kurt Busch and some of these guys, they're better over the long run, so they meet in the middle after a period of time.
Well, Kurt Busch is coming for sure after making 2 pit stops onto that last caution, the 2nd one to replace some loose lug nuts. He is back in the top 10 after 2 pit stops not that long ago.
And he definitely needs a caution or 2 to catch himself up. He's right up there in the 10th place right now, but he's 6.5 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson. See, Travis Quaffle in the 77 keeps clawing his way back. I think right now Casey Mears in the 41 is paying the price for those 2 right side tires. I think to get by with 2 right side tires, you had to have a really good handling race car, balance good.
2nd place, the MB201. MB2 is the team ownership for Joe Nemechek, and here comes Jeff Gordon. They are fighting for 2nd as we keep an eye on the 10th place battle. We talked at the top of the day about here we are at the house of Roush. Jack Roush's Ford's the winner of 5 out of 7 Cup races here, but it's Hendrick Power Chevrolets in the first 3 positions with 45 to go. These are the Hendrick Motorsport cars. They also provide power to MB2 MBB. Turn 2, Hermie Sadler impacts the inside wall. The Virginia driver was running in 30th position in his Peak Fitness Ford.
Honestly believe one of the biggest teams drivers that this caution benefits is Ryan Newman in that 12 car. He was starting to go backwards, I think, because of those 2 right side tires only. So I think as we look at him right here,
I'd rather have it tight than loose. I'm not sure if it was the tires or the balance, but I think we should just leave it.
it appears changing just those 2 right side tires maybe changed the handling of the race car, of course.
As we go to caution for the 10th time, a quick rundown on car. Well, first let's show you what happened to Hermie Sadler.
Just gets up high down there in the middle of 1 and 2. Thing comes around on him and then heads down and hits the inside retaining wall.
Quick update on cars out of the race. Brian Vickers and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in a lap 13 crash along with Bobby Labonte. Morgan Shepherd behind the wall with Robbie Gordon, Randy LaJoy out of the race, and Scott Riggs behind the wall under repair with 43 to go.
I think the other car that this caution benefits, we just talked about him 3 or 4 laps ago. He moved into the top 10. He's in 9th, is Kurt Busch in that 97 car. He needed a caution or two as we see his crew ready for a 4-tire stop here, I'm sure, to catch back up. A lot of intensity in these pits, because every pit stop you have right now, you know this could be your last opportunity to make that car right.
Now, the drivers that last time took 2, like Casey Mears, restarted 2nd, fell back to 11th. Dave Blaney restarted top 5, fell back to 16th. Don't know if we'll see a lot of those 2 tire changes now.
I don't think I'd do that again. I think I'd come in and fix it. Fix it with 4 of them Mr. Feelgoods.
There we see all 29 cars on the lead lap on pit road. John Andretti in the 14 was the free pass car. Jeannie.
He's 17 and Matt Kenseth saying that this is the best the car has been all day. It was finally coming to him, but obviously the caution came out, much frustration there, but he was also concerned that he had a tire going down, front tire going down. But guys, I'm checking them out as they're coming off the car. Not seeing it yet. Matt?
Jimmy Finnick hasn't been able to work that loose condition out of Kurt Busch's Ford. They're going to try one more chance, an air pressure adjustment in the right front and a wedge adjustment. Steve?
Joe Nemechek just a little bit tight, wants a little air out of the right front, and a problem on the left rear tire of Joe Nemechek. Slow stop, Dick.
Jimmy Johnson came in as the leader, said the car is just a tick tight. Very fast race car, a nice pit stop for Jimmy Johnson.
I did not see anyone take just 2 tires. Looked like they were all 4-tire stops.
I think that was a good lesson learned there for a bunch of guys when they saw what happened to the 07 and those guys that took 2.
The real winner, though, I think, was Matt Kenseth. He has that first pit box coming on to pit road, gained 4 positions. And right there, though, you see his pit stop along with Ryan Newman was the fastest. Tony Stewart, Travis Quaffle, the slowest of the top 10. But I think you're right. Everyone changed 4 tires.
Good stop for the Killer Bees. Here's the runoff pit road.
Very close between Ryan Newman and the 12, Jeff Gordon and the 24. Pretty good stop for Greg Biffle in the 16 as well.
42 laps to go in Las Vegas. Watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Nextel Cup Racing on Fox is brought to you by new M3 Power from Gillette. Feel the power of the world's best shave. By Chevy, the winningest name in racing, an American revolution. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. And by Visa, proud sponsor of NASCAR.
We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out. We're gonna rock this town, rock it inside out.
Welcome back to Las Vegas. Joe Nemechek running 3rd at the time, trying to rock this city. His world rocked with a problem on the pits. Jeff Hammond, a former jackman yourself.
Yeah, watch the jackman. He places it underneath the car. He starts down with it, and I believe right about there, he actually turned the handle and loosened it back up. The car drops back down, messes the entire left side tire change up. You can already see the left front tire changer got his tire off, but the left rear guy had not. He had to jack the car back up. Cost him a ton of time.
When people say you don't know Jack, man, they don't know what they're talking about. All the way back to 13th for Nemechek. They're ready to go green.
Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Newman, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch in 5th ahead of Elliott Sadler, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, and Travis Quaffle.
Ryan Newman in the 12, he moved straight to the top of the racetrack trying to get that runoff turn 2, but right now that 48 car, this is where he's strong, right after a restart.
Takes advantage of those 4 fresh ones every time.
Jimmy Johnson, who many folks thought 2 weeks ago, had that race at California been one more lap, might have been in victory lane instead of Greg Biffle.
No question about that one.
They were very relieved it was not the Auto Club 502.
Yes.
He's really good off of 4 on the bottom.
Right now, you're looking back at Jeff Gordon in the 24 car, turns to the bottom, able to turn that throttle up and stay in it, and he'll take second place away from Ryan Newman in the 12. I bet Ryan's not ready to give up, though, as they go off into turn 1.
But that's just what the spotter told Ryan. He's really good off of turn 4, off the bottom.
Well, Darrell, do you want to know where that car is better than you, or do you want to know where you are better than him?
Oh, no, right now, I mean, he's under attack, so you want to know where's he getting me at?
While these guys are side by side, it's pulling Greg Biffle in the 16 as well as Kyle Busch in the 5 right into the equation. And meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, he's looking at his rearview mirror saying, you guys just keep racing side by side. But there's only 37 laps to go.
I tell you what, the way that 48 car runs on these new tires, he's a 1/10 and a half. He's almost 2/10 quicker than those guys behind him.
Darrell, we're 230 laps into this race. We only have 36 to go. He just ran the fastest lap he's run in this race just a lap ago.
Smoker in turn 1. I think that's tire smoke on what could be
The 66 car, yeah. Yep. Got a little rub.
Won't be a factor. He'll be black flagged as Rusty Wallace. Side by side with Kevin Harvick. This is for 16th.
And remember, Kevin Harvick in the 29, he's trying to overcome that pit road speeding penalty. Jeff Gordon still racing side by side with Ryan Newman in the 12 for second.
And now he's got Greg Biffle. And how about Kyle Busch, the rookie in that 5? Many folks question, did he move up to Nextel Cup too early? Not if you're looking just at today's race. He's done a phenomenal job. For 19 years old, wow.
No, I think he took a lesson out of his brother's book, and I think he made the right move. They'll be happy he did that.
Car looks a lot like Jimmy Johnson.
Just hit your marks here, bud. Nice and smooth.
And Jeff Gordon's, he can turn to the bottom coming off the corner, which is such a key to running good here.
Whoa, 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 they're hooked together.
Yep, Newman got in the back of Jeff Gordon.
Let's go get him here, bud. Nice and smooth.
And there goes Kyle Busch and Biffle past them. Here comes Kurt Busch taking advantage.
Yeah, they just broke their momentum for that entire straightaway, and both of them are going to lose 3 positions in about a third of a lap.
I think the 12 car got into the back of the 24, Gordon, and he just couldn't get off of him.
And that could have been a big wreck if either of those drivers had zigged or zagged.
See what happens here. The 12 gets down into turn 1 really, really good. He gets up under Jeff and make a little contact. Just sent Jeff up the hill just ever so slightly, a little bump and run there.
Yeah, and it got Jeff real loose, and then Ryan had to jump out of the throttle to keep from running over him.
And look what the loss of momentum did to those two. It dropped them back to 5th and 6th when they were running 2nd and 3rd.
But it did move Kyle Busch in that 5 car up in the 2nd position, and a lot like Jimmy Johnson, about 4 laps ago, he ran his quickest lap of the race.
Jeff Gordon will fall back here for a second, y'all. He'll cool his jets, and then he'll come back. He just gave Newman a shot down the back.
How about this 3 wide? Nemechek trying to get back up in it. Bobby Hamilton Jr. on the bottom, and Joe says, no, that won't fit.
Battle for 13th on the right-hand side of your screen right there. And this battle right here between these two, it's not for 2nd anymore. It's for 5th, but it will not quit.
I think that's one of the products, the byproducts of that smaller spoiler, though. You get that close to the guy in front of you, it can loosen him up just enough to send him up the track. Of course, a little contact doesn't hurt anything either.
I've never seen side-by-side racing like this for so many laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
30 laps to go.
Watch this going down the back, Mike. This is kind of like, hey, buddy.
Wake-up call.
Appreciate that.
You can hear the RPM come up on the car. He lifted the rear of the car completely up off the ground.
Yeah, that wasn't a little shot there. That was liftoff.
It was huge.
Yeah. Holy cow.
I think somebody told these guys there's only 30 laps to go.
Mayfield and Hamilton in that outside car came off the corner 3 abreast. So Rusty just said, well, while you guys are looking at each other, trying to get your momentum back, I'm just going to shoot on down the bottom. And he did. Nice pass by Rusty Wallace. Picks him up to 13th. Jeannie.
It has been such a long day in the 17 pit of Matt Kenseth that, you know, the grocery list is getting long. With some wide black tape, they need some various oil parts, and you see here on the tire, they had to go shopping for tires, guys. They had to go buy about 2 full sets. The sold sign on this one, because the 17 will take it. The guys down here saying they can't believe how many cautions in this one. And quite honestly, they just were not prepared, so they had to go shop for some Goodyears.
Well, yeah, what you do is you look at the history of the race, how many cautions you normally have, and that's kind of what you do as far as your sets of tires. And we've had 10 cautions. I don't think anyone figured on that many cautions here today. And every time the caution comes out, you have to come get 4 more tires.
At how much a set?
About $1,700, $1,800 a set.
Yeah, about $1,800.
Yikes.
And that doesn't matter if they're new or used. If you're buying them from someone else.
Kyle Busch from Las Vegas, 19 years old. He has already become the youngest driver to win a pole in NASCAR's top series. And now he's trying to displace the same man that he knocked off of that list, Donald Thomas, to be the youngest driver ever to win a Nextel Cup race.
Would you say that Hendrick Motorsports has come back with a vengeance after the little problems they had in Fontana?
Sure would. Dick Bergman.
Well, Kyle Busch's crew chief is no old guy either. Alan Gustafson, just 29 years old. How do you account for a young kid like this with so little experience, second this deep in the race?
It just speaks volume for everybody at Hendrick Motorsports and everybody at this Kellogg Chevrolet. They work so hard. We've got such great chassis shop, engines, great race team. You know, it's just a great organization.
Imagine the future of young Kyle Busch, second this deep in the race.
And Dick, Darrell, when you look at Alan Gustafson, the trend of crew chief continues. He was an engineer last year for Hendrick Motorsports. Now he's Kyle Busch's crew chief. Seeing that more and more.
And for the last 2 laps, Kyle Busch has been quicker than race leader Jimmy Johnson, and the lead now stands at 1.4 seconds. 25 to go. So let's haul out our Fox electronic stopwatch and give you speeds at the start-finish line next time by when they come by with 24 laps to go.
Let me tell you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that 5 car chasing down the 48 car. Coming right after him.
That time it looks like Jimmy Johnson was a little quicker than Kyle Busch in the 5.
By a couple of hundreds, that's it. You know, a 47 to a 51. So the 5 is on it. He's on a mission.
And Kevin Harvick in the 29 tried to claw his way back from that pit road speeding penalty. He had the 3rd quickest time at the line.
So here are the Roush Fords, 3rd and 4th. Kurt Busch taking 3rd from Greg Biffle. Matt Kenseth back in 8th.
Whoa! Boy, Biffle side-swiped the wall that time.
And Darrell, you talked about it in the pre-race earlier today. We were looking at Kyle Busch in the 5 running second. His brother, Kurt Busch, in the 97, our current champion. You mentioned it, his parents. Can you imagine how proud they are? What's going on just here today?
I'm telling you, that's got to be big for their family. That's where you get all your, you know, that's where they, like I said, you train them up at home and send them out on the road and see how they do. And these boys are making their mom and dad proud today.
And it's hometown here in Las Vegas.
Kyle Busch was offered a development program by Jack Roush to follow in his brother's footsteps. But the younger of the 2 brothers, Kyle, decided to pave his own way, signed instead with Hendrick Motorsports. And right now, he is 2nd. Big brother is 3rd. They are about 4 seconds apart on the racetrack.
See Jeff Gordon in the 24 car clawing his way back from the little incident 1 and 2 with Ryan Newman a few laps ago. He moves into the 4th position, going by Greg Biffle in the 16.
You know, we've talked a lot about how younger drivers are having the opportunity to drive better equipment than ever happened before. Let's take a look at rookies of the year and wins they've had in their rookie season. Of recent, 7 wins, 4 winners, whereas over the first 40 years of the rookie program, only 5 drivers went to victory lane with a total of 6 wins.
Yeah, I mean, just look, Kyle Busch steps into Nextel Cup, his rookie season. He's driving for Hendrick Motorsports. He has Jeff Gordon.
Way to go, buddy. 60 on you, 60 on the leader, 70 behind you.
A lot of information being given to him, information he needs. But he has Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson as his teammate. Travis Quaffle, he steps in and he's driving for Penske. He has Rusty Wallace and Ryan Newman as his teammate.
Just think about this. Out of that group came 2 champions. Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth.
It's a battle right here for 10th. Tony Stewart in the 20 car were riding with Jeff Burton in the 31. Remember, over 100 laps ago, these guys were involved in a pretty huge wreck and a lot of major repairs, especially to Jeff Burton in that 31.
Whoa, that got close. Casey Mears running inside Ryan Newman as Kevin Harvick goes by on the bottom.
Yep. When Casey got sideways there, it opened the door for Harvick on the bottom, and he took advantage of it.
And Darrell, as we say, I think the racetrack has went away from the 12 car, Ryan Newman. He's went through so many changes, I think.
I think when you saw how he was driving his car off into the turns, it just uses up those tires that much quicker.
But how about Kevin Harvick to rebound on what's going to be a huge penalty for his team? They had unapproved parts on the car in qualifying that made it appear as if the fuel tank was full when in fact it had only 4 gallons in it. Harvick was unaware of the modification the team had made in an attempt to find speed. NASCAR caught them. Penalties will be handed out on Tuesday, and Kevin Harvick stepped up and said, look, we need to put this behind us right now. We've got a good car good enough to win the race. We need to go out and try to do just that. He's done his job today.
I think the thing that bothers me the most about all that is, of course, they were trying to, obviously they were deceptive in getting by the rule, but the other thing was they didn't have to do it. They're in the show. I mean, basically in the top 35 in points. They know they're going to be in the race. So that shows you how important they thought qualifying was.
And throw the pit road speeding penalty in, he definitely, I think, will win the award for passing the most cars today.
Yeah. Jeff Hammond. We'll get back to Jeff in a moment. 17 laps to go. Again, that lap, Kyle Busch quicker than Jimmy Johnson, but only by a few hundredths of a second. Kurt Busch not gaining any ground on his younger brother, whom growing up, Kurt's nickname for Kyle was Shrub. You know, a little bush is a shrub. Well, Kyle now stands several inches taller than his older brother, and he's going to stand pretty tall leaving this racetrack today if he can finish this race in second place.
I noticed they haven't been using that name a lot lately. That was kind of last year when he was in the Busch Series. This year I haven't heard that much.
Guys, we look at this battle right here between Bobby Hamilton Jr. in the 32, Jeff Burton in the 31. This is a battle for 12th. But just in front of this battle right here, a car that we have not talked about today. The reason he's not even been in the top 20, Rusty Wallace in the 2 car, his last race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway right now. He's about to break into the top 10.
Jimmy Johnson just had to jump way out of the throttle. He came up trying to lap Scott Wimmer, and Wimmer must not have seen him coming. Jimmy really had to lift coming out of turn 2, and if he looks in his mirror, Kyle Busch is there.
Yeah, Kyle Busch in the 5 running in second gained a lot that time. In fact, he gained half the distance. Now he's only 3/4 of a second behind Jimmy Johnson.
Show you what happened here in turns 1 and 2 as Johnson closed down on Scott Wimmer.
Goes down into turn 1 and running the bottom of the track like he's done all day. Comes up off of the corner, and gee, I think that I'm not sure what happened there.
Wimmer got loose in front of him.
Looks like Wimmer may have wiggled a little bit, and it took Jimmy by surprise. He checked up for a second.
Everybody said you are the man.
Cheerleading, that cheerleading from the spotter, from the crew chief, keeping that driver pumped up.
I love it, man. You got to encourage that driver and tell him how good he is.
But the point here is that I think no lead is safe. No matter how much of a lead you have, there are other things and other cars around the racetrack that you're never safe.
No, this is one of those racetracks where you can drive down in the corner a little harder than you've been driving in. Thing gets a little loose with you, and you can lose a lot of time.
And Mike, the problem with 12 laps to go as they come to the line, a lot of lap traffic in front of our leader, Jimmy Johnson. Same thing could happen again.
Johnson the leader over Kyle Busch by 1 second. Then it's Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, and Dick, our pole sitter, Ryan Newman, back in 7th.
Yeah, he's really having trouble, Mike. He has radioed the crew and told them that he has his hands full, that the car is all over the place. The last thing we heard him say was it has no grip, simply no grip. Newman looked like a winner for a long time today, but when it really counts at the end of the race, the car is gone.
Dick, I think he just drove the tires off of it. Early there when he was fighting with Jeff Gordon, he was slipping and sliding it around too much and just used the tires up.
Elliott Sadler has just come to pit road, so he will fall off the lead lap. Here's Jeff.
Right now you see Elliott Sadler come down pit road with guys that made a little minor air pressure adjustment on his 38 car. It has come back to haunt him. We talk about how these cars run on such a fine line. He, along with Travis Quapple, for example, he's getting ready to go down a lap because of a half-pound air pressure put in the right rear. These cars are on the loose side so bad right now they're about to wreck, so they're losing ground, and their day's pretty much over.
Jeff, we knew Elliott Sadler had to be in trouble. He was running in the top 5, and then all of a sudden in less than 25 laps, he was lapped by Jimmy Johnson.
It's always amazing to me, Larry, how critical it is as far as the fine line as we look at the 77 car. Same deal here. This young man was challenging for a top 5 finish and maybe even a win today, but a half-a-pound adjustment right there as we see Kyle Busch go under him and slide him back another position. But that's how critical and how much on the edge all these cars are set up.
And Jeff, you know, like I do, you're always second-guessing yourself. Do I do something and make it better, or do I take the chance of doing something and making it worse, and sometimes it bites you?
9 to go. You got a big lead in third, Kyle. Just take care of your stuff, buddy.
9 laps to go, and that lap Kyle Busch took a 10th off Jimmy Johnson's lead. It's now at 1.2 seconds. Kurt Busch has been unable to gain any ground on little brother. He is 6.4 seconds out of the lead.
And the fastest car on the racetrack, and has been for a few laps, Kevin Harvick in that 29. He's back in 6th. He needs a caution or he's going to run out of laps. We're riding with him here down the backstretch as they'll come to 8 to go next time.
Newman and Mears, 7th and 8th place. They're the leading Dodges in this race right now. 14 seconds off the lead, and running side by side, they may well fall into the hands of Matt Kenseth.
And actually, you know, Mears has done a pretty darn good job. We haven't talked much about him all day, but the old Energizer Bunny there just keeps ticking along.
And rounding out the top 10 would be Tony Stewart in the Home Depot Chevy, 16 seconds off the lead, but he's had to overcome some problems with downforce on the front of that car, gotten a couple of straights, not of his making.
And a top 10 finish for Casey Mears in that 41 car, it would be a huge gain because they don't even have a top 20 finish in these first 2 races of 2005.
Now this lap, Kurt Busch was quickest, but he only gained a 1/10 of a second on his brother, and that won't be near enough with 7 laps to go.
Now those 2 guys in front are driving a little bit defensive right now, just wanting to get it to bring it home, no mistakes.
But look at the wad of cars in front of Jimmy Johnson, our leader, the 48 car. Kyle Busch, he can reach out now, he can see him, and he's saying, guys, just hold my teammate up just for a little bit, and I'll be there as we got 6 laps to go.
Nose to tail are Jeff Green and Kyle Petty, both on the lead lap, and Mike Wallace. So Johnson's going to have to thread his way through as you see Kyle Busch trying to close in and eat up a 1.3 second lead for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, this late in the race, you're usually pretty kind to the leader. You know he's there. There's only a few laps to go.
And of course, these guys right here, Mike Wallace, Jeff Green, Kyle Petty, they're all racing for position. 5 to go. And these guys are still side by side and have been for 10 or 12 laps. There you see Kevin Harvick in the 29. We talked about him a while ago. He moves into 5th position by Greg Biffle, but he's 11 seconds behind our leader, Jimmy Johnson.
Nonetheless, great recovery by Kevin Harvick from the woes, self-imposed woes his team has had this weekend.
Now Kyle Busch in the 5, he's encountering the same lap traffic that Jimmy Johnson was encountering.
Yeah, you know, the thing about Harvick and them, they had a great run at Fontana. They come out of here with a great run today. You go home feeling real good about yourself. But now you got to go home and deal with what's going to happen on Tuesday.
And Kyle Busch just got really close with Jeff Green there, exiting the quad oval going into turn number 1. And that will pad Jimmy Johnson's lead. Meanwhile, that side-by-side battling of Mears and Ryan Newman, the pole sitter, has sent Newman back into the clutches of the 17 Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, Newman
battle for 8th here.
Newman's just screaming, how many more laps to go? How many more laps to go, man?
But a lot like Casey Mears, a top 10 finish for Matt Kenseth would be very welcome because his best finish in the first 2 races, 26th at Fontana, could get their season on the right track.
He needed a good day today, and I think overall, you know, overcoming the obstacles they have, if he can get him a good top 10 finish, I think that would be a good day for that team.
Good news from the local hospital. Both the crew members injured earlier, Tony Stewart's and Mike Bliss's crew, have been released from the local Las Vegas hospital after going there for a checkup. As it's 2 to go for Jimmy Johnson.
Not too far behind these guys right here. I've been watching Mark Martin in the 6 car. He's still out there ticking away, and he has gained 5 positions with that car by going back out there with the engine problem.
You've got a 1.7 second lead.
Jimmy Johnson has had 8 straight finishes of 6th or better, including 4 wins in 2 seconds. This would make it 9, and he's 1 lap away.
Pretty smooth ride. Done a good job all day long. Got himself out front. Where that car had such a huge advantage is on new tires. It was really bad fast for a number of laps on new tires.
He has clean racetrack now. Half a lap to go, halfway down the backstretch.
So the House of Roush.
Absolutely rock. I love my job. I love my team. And boy, let's see a victory lane.
The House of Roush becomes a teardown for Hotel Hendrick. Jimmy Johnson brings the Lowe's Chevrolet to the checkered flag. 5 wins in 2 seconds in the last 9 races for Johnson.
Yeah, Mike, 3 Hendrick cars in the top.
Turn 2, a crash on the final lap. Jeremy
Mayfield, I'm not sure what happened.
And so now the rest of this field will freeze as the caution waves for Mayfield's crash on the final lap. And as exciting as Johnson's win is, how about hometown teenager Kyle Busch, who gave a safe driving clinic to high school students just 4 years younger than him this weekend. And here he is, finishing 2nd in his hometown.
And he ran a limited schedule last year, but his first Nextel Cup start here was 1 year ago in Las Vegas,
where he crashed on lap 12.
Little different. What a difference a year makes.
Big brother, the Nextel champ Kurt Busch, comes home 3rd, with Jeff Gordon 4th and Kevin Harvick a hard-fought 5th. Greg Biffle, Casey Mears, Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, the top 10.
I think we'll see a little celebrating here.
Kilt the motor, can't get it started.
Oops.
Yeah, here it goes. Let's get.
Check your battery switches.
There you go. Here you go. It'll start.
Jimmy Johnson lights the hides on the way to victory lane. We'll be there next.
Welcome to the Nextel post-race show. Brought to you by Nextel, helping NASCAR groups get things done. NASCAR and Nextel, partners in speed. And Chevy congratulates Jimmy Johnson and the 48 Lowe's Chevrolet, winning Monte Carlo, defending manufacturers champion records, their 508th win overall for Chevy. The revolution races on as Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch finishing 2nd and 3rd. So way to go, little brother. Calls his little brother Shrub. And they had the right attitude. Kyle taking advice from his older brother, and his older brother also asking for some advice from Kyle as they finish 1-2 behind Jimmy Johnson and another win for Hendrick Motorsports. In fact, Jimmy Johnson, the 29-year-old from El Cajon, California, growing up on the I-15 about 4 hours. If you head west from Las Vegas, you'd run into the hometown of Jimmy. Let's head down to victory lane and Steve Burns.
All right, thanks, Chris. He was 5th at Daytona, 2nd at Fontana, but first today for his 15th victory in this series. Jimmy, we heard you say you love your job and you love your team. Tell us about this race today. How'd you win it?
Man, we worked hard. It was a lot of work today. This track was very slick. We had to work hard to keep the car underneath me, and we had some pit stops at the beginning that were good, but just didn't get it done. And at the end, the guys got the pit stops done. Jed got the car adjusted, and off we went. It was a lot of fun.
What does it mean for you to win here at Vegas, one of the few tracks that you didn't have a top 5 finish on?
I'm glad to get it, and to be out on the West Coast, there's nothing like it. I'm so happy and so proud of this Lowe's team. Hendrick Motorsports, Kyle ran a heck of a race running 2nd. Hendrick Motorsports has got it all together. I got to thank everybody back at the shop, and it's a great thing. Also, all the employee owners of Lowe's. I bet you everybody's jumping up and down right now.
All right, congratulations, Jimmy Johnson. We go to Dick Berggren.
Kyle Busch finishes second with a left rear tire that is absolutely flat. When did that thing go down?
I don't know. I didn't really feel any problems with it, but it could have came down on the access road here running over some debris or something. But I can't tell you enough. You know, Mr. Hendrick and Hendrick Motorsports, the engine shop, chassis, body shop, all the guys in the 525 shop now, they've just done a tremendous job to try to put these two teams together, somewhat like the 24-48. And to come out here, our second downforce race out, obviously the first one we sat on a pole, this one we finished second. That's just tremendous for everybody, and, you know, everybody involved. And look forward to this Kellogg's Robot Chevrolet. You know, it was fun today. I didn't think we had a good enough car to finish here, but we did, so it's good.
Congratulations to you. Matty.
A big day for the Busch brothers. It just seemed like you guys fought that balance issue all day.
We were close. Our Sharpie Ford did great today with a miscue into pits, no biggie. We were able to battle back from that, and to see the 5 car in front of me, ooh, that was tough to swallow, but he did great today. I'm so very proud of Kyle, my team, and the way that we were able to execute. The Ford was strong, just not as good as those 2 Chevys, but the way that our car has run the first 3 races, I'm real proud of it. And this officially starts now with no more advice to Kyle, so we're going to cut him off. He beat me fair and square.
What a way to start out a titled events. A second, a third, and a third. Jeannie?
Jeff Gordon used to jumping through some hoops here to get anywhere at Las Vegas, finally breaking that top 15 barrier. But one hoop in particular that was kind of interesting was Ryan Newman. What was that about?
You have to ask Ryan Newman that one. I wasn't driving his car when he went in there and forgot where the brakes were, I guess. You know, it was a great effort for the DuPont Chevrolet team. I mean, what a battle. That's a kind of, you know, top 5 finishes that make you champions. And I'm really looking forward to this season, because with that kind of effort every single weekend, we're going to get some wins, a lot of wins, I think, and certainly a lot of top 5s. But we get in the top 5, then we fall out. We get in the top 5, fall out, and, you know, there at the end we were really in great shape, had a great car, and you know, just passing Ryan and you know, finally got by him after he fought me for a while, and then you know, he just got into me and cost us certainly a shot at seeing what we had for Jimmy.
All right, well, racking up the points today, though. Congratulations. Mike?
Jimmy Johnson won the race and led the most laps, so he will leave here with a 15-point edge on Kurt Busch, following the closest point battle in NASCAR history in 2004. Biffle third, Gordon, Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart up for 6th, Rusty Wallace, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman, and Mark Martin. Despite Martin losing a cylinder, he did finish the race. And here's a look down through the top 20. Well, Johnson's win is impressive. That may have been expected. Kyle Busch's run was certainly unexpected. But gosh, what happened to the House of Roush? Everybody thought they'd just come in here and dominate.
I think what happens is, like when any major organization, like what happened to Hendrick Motorsports at Fontana, they went home and they said, look, we can never let that happen again, and we're going to go back and we're going to make a statement. And they made this statement today, and I'd say it's between Roush and Hendrick right now. They're the 2 main players.
Is that the way the season will shape up?
Well, it certainly looks to be when you look at the first 3 races. But yeah, we talk about comebacks during a race. The comeback since Fontana would have to be the engine shop at Hendricks. When we left Fontana, they had motor pieces scattered all over that racetrack. Almost every engine they had there had a failure. They come back today and have 3 of the top 4 finishers. What a rebound, guys.
And Jimmy Johnson's 10,000 RPM 2-minute burnout left no doubt that those engines will take a pounding. Well, we're off for Atlanta, Chris.
A lot of fun. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won there the spring race last year. Hopes to turn things around. Look at Sin City there. And by the way,
haze either.
Jimmy Johnson, that went off as the 9-2 favorite before today's race, and he is the king here in Las Vegas. A Chevy winning moment for him. Some thoughts on this race today?
Well, what we saw there was a great battle, I think, with all the cars involved as far as Hendrick's concerned, along with Roush. I think they kind of showed what they had happening, along with Ryan Newman. I think the Dodgers said, hey, maybe we can race with these guys after all. Still haven't got it quite figured out as far as the balance, but a lot better race here at Las Vegas, I think, than a lot of people expected. A lot of passing, a lot of side-by-side racing.
On the pre-race show, we talked about the young Kyle Busch, a guy who graduated early, so he's obviously a bright kid and taking his brother's advice. Interesting to hear Kurt say, hey, no more. I'm cutting him off here. He certainly put on quite a show.
Oh, he really did. He showed you a lot of composure today, and not to mention that right there, I guess he's challenging me for me saying that, hey, he's come up a little too soon. But today he did an awesome job. They did a great effort for all the Hendrick Motorsports. I mean, finishing first and second as well as third. So, I mean, they're here.
Next weekend, we move on to Atlanta. As Mike Joy mentioned, coverage beginning on Friday. Craftsman Truck Series, that's on speed. Saturday, Busch Series qualifying. On Speed, the Aaron's 312. You'll see that on FX Sunday. NASCAR this morning. Then the Golden Corral 500 presented by M3 Power from Gillette. That'll be on Fox. NASCAR Victory Lane will wrap things up from there. The day started with Ryan Newman on the pole. He led the 44 laps. Greg Biffle led more than 50. Dale Earnhardt Jr. wrecked out of the race on lap 12. Matt Kenseth, no three-peat for him, suffering a wreck and a tire problem, but wound up 8th. Jimmy Johnson, Hendrick Motorsports with the win, forcing the Roush show in Vegas to go dark. For all of us here, I'm Chris Myers. Thanks for being a part of NASCAR on Fox.